Thumbsuck was a mistake.
Well, we know that. Okay, it says we're
Good
live.
morning.
Good morning, everybody. I don't know. It's
I
publishing and it's
really
live.
hope that
And
was
it's
the
not.
first thing people heard.
I hope so too. I really hope so too. Okay, here we are.
I
All right, I will tweet that.
I like this because I like the dynamic of Jade and Kanaya a lot, and I also like getting to write Kanaya saying like stuff where she's obviously joking, but she does it in like her way. Um, so Jade's message: Are you still up? No, Jade. This is a recorded auto response message. I am learning to do more human things, like mislead people regarding my wakefulness. Well, when you're awake, I need to talk to you.
Dave is
Want
so
to talk to
proud.
you.
Dave is so
Jade, that was a
proud.
human joke. I have fooled you because I was actually responding all along. I misled you, but in a way which provided momentary amusement.
Why is she so good? Why is Kanaya so good?
I can just see her like cross-legged on her like she doesn't have a chair, she has like a very ornate stool
She
because
does.
she's like
She
or
does.
maybe either ornate stool or like a very ornate wheelie chair that like she can roll between her like sewing machine and her
Yes.
Oh
computer
God.
What
desk
I love
and her
uh-huh.
and like she's like very manicured fingernails very precisely tap out all of those letters and then she like hits the enter key is like
See, what I love about Kanai is she does all that with like an expression on her face, like she just watched someone die. And this is how she does everything. She just looks like a scary vampire from the movie. And, like it's fantastic. She's incredible. We love Kanaya. Um, yeah,
Oh
we gotta fix the problem. How do you fix a problem like Dirk Strider? That's the mission for today.
no.
I know
intriguing mission
it's
statement.
well, someone's I guess gotta question mark
It's a
question
big
mark
question.
big question mark.
Also, one of your only watcher right now is me. I'm watching on my
Well,
non
don't speak too soon. I think
Homestuck
Bucky might be in
account.
there also, but yeah,
Oh, okay.
maybe
Two
because we have
watch.
two people.
Two.
I'm not yet. I'm still.
Okay.
Oh,
I'm
well,
playing a
maybe we
video
have
game.
a video game. I see. That's all
Ooh.
right. Mm.
What game are you playing?
Pyramida. It's this very cute little game by Sock Pop Studios, which puts out like I think they put out a video game either a week or a month. And it's this
Mm-hmm.
very cute little
Uh-huh.
Civ sim. And you start with two people, and I can't. Does it just
Ooh.
save when I quit? Yeah, okay. I think it just saves when I
Oh.
quit. Okay. All right.
It's not-
I just couldn't figure out how to pause it, and the answer is you don't.
You don't pause it.
No.
This is one
All
take.
right, now I'm watching the stream.
Okay, well, good because you can see this. See that this is the problem. He was sleeping and now he's not, and I did a continuity error and we're
So
fixing it.
you're just gonna make like a transitionary
I
frame or something.
don't. I'm not sure. Maybe
You've got frames of him waking up from fucking. If you wanted to reuse asset, you could take the Unate synchronized bit where he's like asleep
Okay.
and then jumps up and he goes from like flat to like worm shaped. You know what I mean?
I think I do. I do. I mean, I remember that flash because that flash is great, and I've rewatched it a couple times because like the music's fun and it's like fun, and you remember the alphas they're
Yeah.
friends, and Dirk was like wanted to be the cool helpful friend.
Oh, yeah, Dirk and Alt Dirk are not the same character.
Turns out they're not. So what I could do, I'm just gonna like have him, like we're gonna put his knees in frame like he's
Oh.
sitting up,
Yeah.
like yeah, he noticed he's pretty far from low tack, but whatever. Art's fake, art is a lie, writing's
What
a
if-
scam.
Oh wait, no, Jasper squared left. I was gonna say she could just like bonk him with some yarn on her way out, and he could like wake
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be. What?
But
Okay.
he
what if
could
you
also just
have,
wake up.
You're gonna,
I can
just
just
gonna
I can
add a
just do
little bit
this.
of
I can just
add
add
a
some
little
legs.
bit of informational, contextual, narrative stuff. Like, all right, people, Dirk's awake now. Don't ask additional questions.
Okay, here's how I can do it. Here's how I can do it. I have resolve just to come to a dead fucking stop, and then it's like like a shot of my living room, and I walk on and go, "Don't worry, Dirk's awake now. Don't worry
Or
about
you
it.
just-
He's awake now."
it's
And I
like-
walk off, and then it's just like 15 unbroken minutes of just footage of my living room wall, and then I cut back.
What
This
if wait?
doesn't count towards the
Seamless.
runtime.
Seamless.
Seamless.
Okay, so
Yeah.
he went to sleep to like go off into the void somewhere, but now he's awake, and maybe it's because when he went to sleep, he just like
He does the thing where he's asleep
Was-
and
he
awake. Yeah, he's gonna be, I guess, doing that. He just has to like get in the zone. Probably.
oh, I was gonna suggest he like just saw whatever was going on like low tech, and I was like, oh shit, actually I
Yeah.
need to be awake and
Yeah.
just fly. Hmm.
Yeah.
Or the him being awake in both makes more sense with his.
Yeah, he's awake in
character,
both. So like,
I like
he
that.
he laid down to like actually kind of do the brain thing, but after that he can kind of zombie around in one mode or the other. He's not good at it. Like he can do it, but he's not actually good at it. Is the thing that people forget. Like he'll just stop
Absolutely.
responding and just space out. Well,
I'm
his
gonna
stream
drop
stuff is
this
doing
in
stuff.
voice chat because it's
No.
great. But here's where we're at for Homestuck but tweeted today.
Uh-oh.
Oh,
Do I
dear.
want to know? I don't like thinking about.
No, it's a funny
It's
one.
funny.
Also, hi.
The
I've been here,
Nakatiles. Oh,
for a
hi.
second,
Hi,
but I didn't want to
Cole.
interrupt you.
Cool.
So it's okay. We're too chatty.
Hello, Cole.
It's fine. I
Good
like this.
morning.
I like it when he's crying because he's being cooked.
Good. Make the child suffer.
Yes, the Nakadiles.
No,
are so
yeah.
great.
Val and I were just roasting both the knights yesterday while we were on call.
That's valid.
Yeah. It keeps happening, but we'll get to them. Oh, we'll get to them. Their days. Well, their days aren't numbered because Karkat's already dead. So
Yeah,
problem solved. I mean,
Dave Cat Divorce Court.
Dave Cat Divorce. Don't tell them about Dave Cat Divorce Court. It's a secret. I'll get in trouble. It's fine. I respect Dave Cat. Dave Cat writes.
I hear the bitter. in this.
No, it's not. There's no bitterness. I'm a very nice lady. I'm extremely nice. They'll be fine. They'll be fine. They just, you gotta do more than what they've been doing, I guess, to be good at things. Well, this doesn't.
Oh,
Oh.
Hang on.
It's true.
Hi. I need to just hit you with the name of this podcast that I subscribed to like a year ago, and then I'm still subscribed to. I listen to it semi-frequently. It's called Henry Kissinger's Pokemon Going to Die.
Wait,
And-
no, I know the people who do that one.
You do?
Yeah.
I really like them. They make my favorite Animorphs, or one of them makes my favorite Animorphs podcast.
nice.
Or at least I know they're like a friend of a friend, or they're that friend. It's terrible because I haven't talked to a lot of the people that I was friends with very directly in the Balance fandom because I've been in the Resolve mines and also just dealing with my life. But yeah, I was in the Balance fandom. I know some people, and that's how I know of this podcast. But I have not yet listened to because I'm a loser. I don't listen to things. I'm too busy drawing Striders.
I listen
That's
to the
what-
first few, and I'll just occasionally dip into like a few of them because the talk show format with different hosts means that, and it's like reacting to news means like
Yeah.
you kind of want to either get some of that horrible, dawning like history realization content or catch up with local news. And like there's a lot going on with it. I saw this notification, I expanded it. I'm not going to read you the title because it's like all not safe for work, but every single word in this is in the description of this is great. So I figured out what I'm doing after the
Lucky,
stream is
like
over
I've
and
had
I'm
an
driving.
experience I can't describe to you at all, but I just want you to know it's great.
FYI.
I don't know to what extent you want me to read some of these words out loud.
I don't. No, I don't. Don't
worry.
worry about it. I don't want you to. Don't do it.
I'll screenshot
Don't do
and
it.
send
There's Homestuck is a very.
This chat.
It's got lots of teens in it, So you gotta
Yeah,
be
it
careful. You
does.
gotta watch out for the teens. Oh, good. I get to see it with my eyes. I'm unlooking. I'm looking away. I'm unseeing. I'm not dealing with that. Okay, so the thing about this is that kind of sucks
I
as a
can
drawing.
I
But
can read it with it tastefully redacted.
No.
I don't.
You'll just be redacting the whole thing.
Oh, this does not look like it's supposed to. It looks absolutely like I just kind of
There
fucking
are
faked it. But whatever, whatever. People are just gonna deal with it. So we've done it. We've uncontinuity errored, Mr. Dirk
Uh,
Strider.
Actually, I don't know. Shrek's redacted has a very ominous.
That's not
feel.
helping. That's not helping. You're not helping, which is weird because you're usually helping.
Also, the redacted campaign definitely important
The
to
redacted
strike
campaign?
that one out.
Uh oh.
Third line of the actual description.
Shania's allowed to be mischievous sometimes.
Shania can have some nefariousness as a treat. Okay, so we did that. That's good. Now we gotta draw a Jane. And to do that, we've got to create a background for her. I think she's gonna still be on the land of heliums and crypts. Is that it? Lohack? Is that it?
Crypts and helium.
Crypts and helium. I had that backwards. Cause it's okay. Heat and cloud for crypts and helium. Ah.
I get it.
Interesting. Interesting.
I've never actually thought of the fact that they reversed the part of the acronym.
Yeah, because red and cyan are opposites. so
Not
maybe
on
that's-
purpose.
No, definitely not on purpose. I'm here with my red string and like
I
my
don't wanna
peppy
give Andrew-
Sylvia energy.
I do not want to give Andrew Hussey credit when it's not due.
Even
It's
when
just
it is
freaking-
due, I'm stubborn.
Yeah, I just don't want to give him credit in general, but this is something where it's like, yeah, that's just a coincidence.
And let's put, we'll put a crypt there, and we'll put maybe some balloons here.
So,
I guess.
I have a lot of different projects that I'm working on all at once, and switching between them is an interesting experience. think
yeah.
I think I'm in the point where I should just be like doing all the little ones first, because I keep going like I wanna write more of the novel, but the novel is a very specific tone, and I'm not sure if I want to like keep violently shifting gears between like Jade Kanaya emotional like late night text and a murder mystery set in space basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
Those are not similar.
But it's good though. Like just no, this doesn't help. It's just the murder mystery that Jade's reading, before going to
Right.
bed. Then
Doesn't yeah.
oh,
Which,
bad
of
news,
course-
everybody. I can't draw.
because it's a novel length work, it also has a lot of like other stuff going on, and because I've hit 16,000 words, I'm starting to like drop some of that in there a little bit, and like go into more of the backstory and explain it, and
Yeah.
now I'm starting to drop the first couple major plot
Actually,
elements
let's
that
get
are
Dirk.
in the
Come here, Dirk.
background.
Come here. Where are you, buddy? You're gonna go hang out with Jane. That's what you're gonna do. So I know how to draw that. Oh God, which Untitled 2 is it? Nice, right one.
Me too, buddy.
That's the mood.
This whole project, I basically survive off of fucking chaos. I loathe the idea of someone having to like make sense of my files and my naming conventions and just everything that's going on here. It's utterly cryptic to anyone who isn't me.
By which you mean there is no organizational
There is no
structure. You just remember what all the
Okay,
things are.
no, it's
know.
organized. No, hey, it's organized. Okay, so here's the folder for the Flash named not what the Flash is actually named to start. Okay, so we start there.
Uh-huh.
We have assets where I don't have any of the assets in. This is just like stuff extracted from other Homestuck Flashes, so don't worry, that's
Uh-huh.
very clear. We have concepts, which I don't think there's anything in here.
Oh,
I never put any
wait,
concept art in
get
here.
it. I get it. We're doing the thing where we say something, but we actually mean the opposite.
Yes, exactly.
Cool.
That's how I organize. It keeps me
Right.
engaged. It's like,
Your
yeah,
brain remembers. It's like how a hard drive works, where it's like
precisely.
the data isn't all together necessarily, but it knows where it all is.
Uh-huh. And here's the folder named Flash that does not have all the Flash files in it. The Flash files are in
Right.
We're Making This Happen, you know, because that makes more sense. Jade
Hmm.
play bass. It's more assets from another Flash. They're all like scattered around everywhere from the riff. There's reference, which is practically empty because all the reference is like just saved inside other folders. We have rough and we have rough copy. So there's like some final assets are in this one and in this one and in this one.
Yeah. Is
And
there
this
anything
is
inside the new folder inside of that rough copy or whatever?
Oh, there's all kinds of them. So there's like
Okay.
the sketches and
There
like
is-
the
there
PSDs
is
for
actually
one, and then
there is actually content within the
there is content within
default
both of
name
these.
folder.
There is content.
No,
within
the
both.
one called new folder within one of them.
Oh my god, I don't know.
I
Where is
can't
there?
remember which. I think it's rough copy.
Rough copy? No, there's no new folder in there.
Okay, maybe it was rough. It was
Maybe
one
it
of the
was.
ones you were just looking at.
No.
No, it was in rough. I think
It
it
was
was like
rough.
right on the top level there.
Maybe shot work. I don't know. I don't know.
Or no, whatever.
I
It
don't know.
doesn't
I can't
matter.
find it now. And to help, there's also another folder with the same name. Oh wait, yeah, because this got dragged out of the other folder at some point by accident. So don't worry. I don't know which one is the real one anymore. It's like those logic puzzles where like two guards and one lies and one always tells the truth.
They're all the real one.
They're
and
all the
both
real
guards
They're both
always
guards.
lie.
They're always lying. Oh my god. Okay, so that's. Now you all know how to finish this if I die.
I had an
Perfect.
so I had an when I was a kid, an uncle of mine dropped the two guards riddle on me, or two people. I don't remember what they were in the scenario.
Janus
he was like,
monster,
you know,
probably.
Let me know when you figure this out. I was probably like, I don't know, 12. And he was like, I'll tell you in high school if you can't figure it out. And then eventually I figured it out. I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
That's not some profound thing. That's just the fucking double negative. What the fuck?
Yeah, that's
You
basically.
made this sound like this profound
Well,
riddle,
some people
and it
don't
was-
figure it out. Like, well, I could try and describe it to you, but I do a bad job because I'm drawing. I've found that whenever I'm doing spatial things, particularly animation, which get out of here, Dirk. Particularly
He wants
when
to hang.
he is.
Well,
He's
because-
right here. There doesn't need to be two of him.
Because of the YouTube delay, I'll know what that refers
Yeah.
to in about a minute.
Why can't I draw this Jane? Why is it so hard?
But yeah, I don't know. There it is. There's the dirt.
Here's the Dirk. Get out of
Wow,
here.
That was a long delay.
Get out of
Yeah.
here, Dirk.
Oh,
We're gonna draw a Jane. We're gonna draw a Jane. She'll be fine. As a matter of fact, let's get a reference panel so you can see the rest of my bad folder structure. Act 5?
or folder
Update
structure.
2?
Or-
Jane?
Also, you know what riddles really bother me? Most riddles, to be honest, because they always rely
There we go.
on
She is.
knowledge that's very specific to the riddle you're telling. Like it's like this riddle has multiple solutions, but no, there's one right solution. It's like, no, you're just being vague.
Yeah.
And then like, aha, I tricked you. You didn't think of the same thing I did because you're not literally the same person as me. Ah.
I got some kind of reputation in my family as being a brainy kid, I guess, which was nice.
Mhm.
So I got like
Did
books
people
of
try-
riddles and
yeah, I was
things.
gonna say, did people try to trick you
Yeah.
by being like, I thought of a riddle you'll never guess because you can't literally read my mind.
No, because I was a very introverted person, I just hate talking to people. I say while I'm here talking to people. I shouldn't say that.
Mhm.
I like talking to you guys, But I would be given like books of riddles and brain teasers, and some of them were just like very obscure references to like a law passed in Italy like 30 years ago, and it's like, well, I don't know. I don't think we're really testing my logic. We're testing my trivia, and I can't trivia. I can't do it.
Right. Like I feel like there are very few riddles that do what they're supposed to, which is that they logically imply something because there couldn't be anything else that fits really well.
Exactly.
But like
Yeah.
most of them are just heavily dependent on either like very specific cultural touchstones, and by that I mean like the individual riddle writers' culture, not just like general culture, or
Yeah.
they're just like stupid nonsense that's designed to make someone feel smart.
Yeah.
That's like I always found the. Are you
Maybe I
familiar
should
with
do
the
that.
Encyclopedia Brown books?
Yes, very, very familiar,
A little
actually.
bit, not
From
extremely familiar.
from your tone of voice, you feel the way I do about these books. So they're basically like little Sherlock Holmes, except if you were even more insufferable. Um,
That's a very
Well,
good way of
like,
putting it.
I am. So tell me more.
so it's like basically this child who solves these like low stakes mysteries around his neighborhood, but they're very how do I put this? They're the kind of mystery stories where it relies on him being smarter than everyone because the plot says he
Oh,
is.
yeah.
Like I remember this one story that always sticks out in my mind because it was so fucking stupid. Is that some like I don't remember. It was like some kid got pushed down a hill or something like that, like and got mud on
Hill
him. And he
pushing
had to figure out
ghost. Hill pushing
how to
ghost. I'm
figure out
I'm putting
who
my
did
guess
that.
down right now. Hill pushing ghost.
I that's valid, but also it wasn't Hill pushing Ghost. It was some girl that did it, and it was like when he came by her house, she was like, I don't remember. It was like, oh, I just got out of the shower. Look, I'm wrapped up in a towel and I'm doing my nails. And he was like, aha, you can't have been in the shower because you're doing your nails, and they would have been too soft for you to file them. And I was like,
What?
that isn't true. I do my nails when I get out of the shower all the time. Like, are you implying she was in the shower for like 9 hours? Like, what the fuck? Like, that's just stupid. And
You
it's like
actually
someone
probably
thought,
want like your cuticles and stuff to be soft so you can manipulate. I
Yeah.
don't know if you were
You
gonna
can
like
file
put
your
some
nails. I
intense.
mean, it's like better when
Yeah.
they're brittle, so you don't like tear. I
I
guess,
mean,
but people, you can
it's,
do it. It's fine.
and
No,
also like your nails don't become that soft in like an hour, even an hour in the shower. Like,
Mhm.
what the fuck? They're not like that.
Yeah.
one that sticks out in my mind is like there was like I think there was actually a murder and or someone
Oh my
went
God.
missing. Someone went missing.
Okay.
And they had to like leave a clue behind as to the identity of the kidnapper. And you'll never fucking
Mhm.
guess. They like circled or they like they left a portion of like their calendar out or something like that. And it just so happens that the name of the person who kidnapped them was named Jason. So it was like you could you could like take July, August, September,
Oh
October,
my
November, and like put them together and get this
God.
motherfucker's name.
See,
Oh
I
my
would love
God.
to encounter that in like a video game. Like, I want to be like in a detective
It
video
feels
game. It
they
feels
feel
fun.
like yeah, like adventure game moon logic in many cases. Um,
I
but
like
it's a
that though,
book.
because I'm insane.
Yeah,
I'm
but
not a reasonable person. So
also
That's
I'm figuring it out in
yeah.
gameplay and not like reading about this insufferable child doing it.
Yes, that's true. I get to be the insufferable child, so that's fun for me. It's a
Valid.
fun
It's
time
fun
for
when
me.
you get to be the insufferable child.
It is. That's why Act 8's fun. I get to
There-
be insufferable. I enjoy being a little bit insufferable sometimes.
I also remember a Lox Bagel based deduction for some reason.
They-
It had very intimately to do with Lox Bagels. I can't
They-
remember the exact circumstances, but that was very important to the
I
story.
just feel like
The
they were
bagel
written
was the murderer.
because these books were written by many different people. They're one of these like ghost written series where it's like it's very upfront about the fact that it's not actually whoever's name it is. It's like the Hardy Boys or Nancy Drew, but like it just feels like whoever was writing it was like they had some random piece of trivia knowledge, and they were like, I will include this in the mystery. I like
Yeah, let me
lots of
just
nerds.
open an
I know a lot
encyclopedia
about
super
this.
quick. Let me
Like,
just open up
His,
the
his
front page of
name,
Wikipedia.
his name was Encyclopedia Brown.
Oh, that's
right.
because
His
he read
whole
the
deal was
encyclopedias and it
knowing
made him good at
trivia.
mysteries. That's how that works.
Yeah.
It
Yeah,
is.
that's how deducing things works.
It
It's
is.
not about
That's yeah.
it's not about putting information together and synthesizing it. It's not about talking to people and like determining contradictions. It's about remembering random ass trivia.
It is. It is. That's true. That's real.
Right. That's how detective work
That's
works.
how it works. I'm glad we can all agree. That's
I mean,
how
in
it
real
works.
life, detective work is largely coercing people into
Oh
confessing to
yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
But we're talking about like Sherlock Holmes style detective
Mhm.
work here.
Fantasy made up detective work that doesn't
Yeah.
real.
Shania with the hard cutting comments this morning.
Well, it's true and she should say it.
Yes.
That was so in my experience in learning about the police and how they do their thing.
Oh, yeah.
One of the things that was most eye-opening when I was like in my 20s was the revelation that most I think it's most murders are solved because the person confesses,
Mhm.
and all of what that implies.
Right.
Like it's like the whole forensic science thing is very, because I was really interested in forensic science for a minute, and like how much of that is bullshit is really like unnerving,
A lot of it
because
is
it's
bullshit.
presented as being this like super scientific, super like rigorous process, but a lot of it's really not.
Yeah, culturally speaking, a lot of like the CSI shows and the true crime
Uh,
podcasts, they serve a very specific cultural anxiety to have like this appeal to authority and the thinking authority is
yeah,
competent,
like that
but
people,
it's not. Authority will
right,
not protect you. It's there's all kinds of people it doesn't protect, even
that
pretend to
they
protect.
know that they know what they're doing, and also that it's fair.
Yeah.
Like, oh, it's not based in racism and classism. It's fair because like science, but it's like
Science is
so much of it
impartial.
is like actual
It's not.
bullshit. Like the fact that they're still using polygraphs.
Oh no.
Oh
So
god. I
yeah,
remember reading the fucking there was a pretty good book actually by there was about William Marston or whatever the fuck his name was, the creator of Wonder Woman, and cuz he was also the inventor of the polygraph.
oh wow,
Huh.
I don't
And
like them.
Trivia.
yeah, there's a lot going on with this dude. He also was a polygamist, and Wonder Woman is based off of a couple of his wives, and he was into BDSM, and it's very apparent in the early Wonder
Yeah,
Woman comics
that
that he
wasn't very
was.
subtle. He
Yeah.
wasn't subtle.
So there's
I-
just a lot.
Yeah,
The book goes out of its way to say the polygraph test is fake, though.
it super is. So fun quote unquote piece of trivia. I may have told one or both of you this before, but I know you both know that I was in an abusive relationship with a person that had a lot of issues. And one of her deals was that at one point she decided that the only way she was going to believe that I wasn't cheating on her was if I took a polygraph.
Ugh.
And I was like, cool, I'll do that because I wasn't cheating
Yeah.
on you. And fine, whatever. Like, I don't know if this is bullshit or not. They super are, by the way. But this is a person that had a lot of issues with, I want to say paranoia. I don't mean that in the clinical sense of the
Mhm.
word, but in the sense of like never believed anything. I've taken about 60 polygraphs in my life
Oof.
over the course of like 2 years. So I'm very familiar with the process. It is complete and utter bullshit. I got flagged as suspicious when I was blatantly telling the truth. I lied my ass off with things like concealing the fact that I had a casual lunch with a friend in college once, because that was the kind of thing that would get my ass beat if it came out. And like it's just complete nonsense. Like it means nothing. it's basically like how nervous you are. And
Yeah,
despite the insistence of polygraphers to the contrary, you can just kind of like lie calmly and it won't flag it. And also, you can be really nervous and it absolutely will. And that's like, yeah, that's it's just complete bullshit, and it has no basis in science or anything. It's nonsense. And the
people
fact that the
want
government
magic
uses it,
solutions like that.
yeah,
They
exactly,
think lying is like a concrete enough of a thing, like a simple enough of an
exactly,
idea that you're gonna create a magic device that's gonna figure it
right,
out. That's what we want. Like we have Elon fucking Musk. Oh, we're gonna put a chip in
yeah,
your brain that's gonna help you access memories when
yeah,
memories do not work like that.
right. Like
Memories are.
memory and yeah,
Oh yeah.
memory and like lying and all that is very like it's all fuzzy and like it's not something where you have like, ooh, there's the lying sign. Use the
Mhm.
whatever they call it, the Pinocchio response, I think is the terminology used in like the industry. It's like that doesn't exist.
It doesn't
Like it's
exist.
complete bullshit. It's just it relies on the fact that it has any level of success simply relies on the fact that most people get nervous when they start lying under circumstances where they're afraid that if they're caught lying, something bad will happen.
Yeah.
Like it's basically like the way police do interrogations, but with a machine.
Yeah. Ugh.
Like that's all it
Ugh.
is. It's complete nonsense.
It's bad.
Yeah,
It's not good.
I've taken polygraph exams from 3 different examiners and over 60 of them.
That's a
Which, by the
nightmare.
way, is a
That's a
fact that
nightmare.
will make a judge go, "What the fuck?"
Yeah.
Um, not literally saying "What the fuck," but
But you
obviously,
could like
really
see it.
fuck.
You could like
Yeah,
see it going through their mind like, not
and then
normal.
like,
Not normal.
oh, you were married to a crazy person.
Yeah.
Um, but
I'm
yeah,
sorry. That is
a
that's a
lot.
nightmare of a thing. That's a lot. That's a nightmare of a thing to go
It
through.
is, and it costs a lot of money too.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, that's a really like staggering thing to go back and look at. Also, it's like that with a lot of forensic science, actually. Like even
Oh
things
yeah.
like fingerprint and DNA are not nearly as they're not nearly as good as people want them to be. Like fingerprint matching is definitely a thing that can work. Fingerprints are fairly unique, but also like fingerprints are not like this magical like, oh, they left prints behind on the scene. Like it requires that you have prints to compare them to. It requires that they be recoverable. It requires that they be in good quality. And also not leaving fingerprints isn't that hard. Like there's this whole story about like, oh, don't think about wearing gloves. They can tell, but from the oils that seep through the glove. No, that's
No.
bullshit.
No.
Like that's not
No.
how that works
No.
at
It's
all.
made
Like
up. It's made up. It's
for any
basically
glove,
they're like wizards to people.
it's yeah. Well, they
It's
want
just
people.
it's yeah.
They want people to think that they're wizards because, like, oh, if you think the police are magical, then like, oh, don't do crimes. They'll find your
Harry
fingerprints. Like,
Potter will
no,
come get you.
if you do anything that like if you grabbed a surface and then like dragged your fingers, the fingerprints are unusable. The it basically relies on like most people that are like in the middle of doing a crime aren't thinking about it and they touch a
Mhm.
lot of stuff, and like that can then be used to basically get them to confess to something,
Mhm.
um, or get a jury to convict them, which doesn't mean that they're the person that did the crime,
Right. Right.
but enough people will think that they are and not ask questions about it.
Well,
Like, yeah,
that's like
it's
sort of going back to the polygraph thing and this. That's like it's a good example of like how neurotypicality is baked into the
ooh,
justice
Oh
system
yeah.
because you're basically required to behave like a quote unquote normal person
right.
and in order to be respected, and that's kind of bullshit.
And that's,
It is
the bias of everyone,
yes.
well, their idea of what a normal person looks like,
Right.
and all, like, immediately, just certain disenfranchised groups are gonna appear more suspicious to these
Yeah.
people, because they're horrible.
Yeah.
Mm.
Like, and a lot of it is just based in like not especially useful analysis. Like There's ballistic analysis, which kind of is like fingerprint analysis, but worse because like
That's
it
when the gun
relies.
touches the bullet and leaves
That's well,
a
it's
gun
the
print.
grooves that are like the unique grooves in the rifling, except it requires even more like perfect data collection, and also is very subject to error, and also it's really easy to fake because you can very easily modify the grooves in the specific like
Yeah.
imperfections in the rifling um, of a gun. Also, it's completely useless
Let's see
for
if I can
unrifled
steal
rounds, so shotguns.
steal an eye.
And yeah, and things like DNA analysis, has a bunch of like that's a pretty good one, but it's also got a lot of potential for error and contamination, and a lot of the labs are just like either they're not funded or they don't give a fuck or both. So you have like massive sample contamination. Like that's been a huge issue all over the country. And it's like, yeah, that's you don't get good results when your sample is completely contaminated. Like,
You're telling
surprisingly,
me that doing things in a way that doesn't work doesn't work?
I am
I
telling
can't
you
accept
that.
that
I
answer.
know it's hard to accept. Amazingly, when you put the cops in charge of stuff, you get bad things happening.
Yeah. Yeah. Ugh.
Yeah,
Ugh.
it's just, yeah,
People are
it's
unable to imagine alternatives, or I won't say unable.
right.
That's giving them too much credit. It's
Oh, they're
it's
perfect. Yeah,
malicious. Yeah.
they're able to imagine the alternatives. They don't want them because those disenfranchise the cops.
Yeah.
Like they remove power that the system has, and that's not good for them.
Yeah.
It's like yeah,
Oh, Jane.
it's
Let's see. This is actually. I don't think I'm gonna like this drawing when it's done. I
uh,
already don't really like it very much, but
you like it.
um, I don't know. I don't like anything. I'm picky.
That's that's a move.
Uh, what is wrong? Like, it's just. I think the head's just too
It's
big.
it's hard to like the stuff that you create. I
Oh,
think.
extremely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or and I shouldn't say that. It's easy to dislike the stuff that you create. That's a better way to put it. I feel like that's an important distinction.
I don't know how I'm gonna feel about Resolve when it's done. I have no
You'll be
idea.
happy it's done.
I will be so happy it's done.
It is okay to be like, hey, this thing I made is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm hoping that's how I feel, because it's been so long that, like, looking at it, I'm not really impressed with any of it anymore.
oh,
Uh,
just from having been exposed.
right. Just having been exposed to it so long, I'm just kind of like, nah, I don't know. So, it's at this point, it's impossible for me to kind of gauge what the reaction's going to be, or how it's going to be received as part of like the whole of the project up until now, and how it's gonna like feel for people to experience. And normally, you kind of want to be in touch with that when you're putting this much time into something, so that's unfortunate. But on the other hand, maybe it's kind of good that it's just going to be what it is, and that's sort of out of my hands, because the
Yeah,
experience that the reader's having should kind of always be out of your hands a little bit, like, because that's not really up to you. You've already had your time.
right,
In you had the floor the entire time you were making that art, and whatever you said, that's what you said. Um, so
right.
you gotta get off the stage, buddy, and then let other people deal with it. Because this is
Mhm.
not just, you can't just stay up there forever.
Yeah, that's a
So,
fair way to look at it.
yeah. So maybe it's good that I don't know exactly what it's gonna be, because that's not really my job. People are gonna receive this how they're gonna receive this.
Yeah,
Yeah. Well, that
I
looks a
think
little bit better.
I think it'll be well received. Also, the fact that it's a uh what how long was what's the flash I'm thinking of? Not Cascade. That wasn't what was the one that was about 10 minutes?
Cascade was
Collide?
about
Oh,
10 minutes.
Cascade was the 10
Cascade
minute
was like
one.
13
Collide was
minutes. Collide, I
okay.
think, was like
That was
14.
eight. That was like
They made
18 or
Collide
something.
be. It's long.
Um
It's a long
yeah,
one,
but I mean this is a Cascade length
basically.
animated thing,
Yeah.
which is
Oh, I have not saved this whole time.
first of all, really impressive, and also secondly, it's something that the Homestuck fandom, I think, is really like missing right now.
It's sad that like Flash animations are not gonna be a thing anymore because that was something very unique to the method of storytelling that Homestuck kind of
Right.
brought
And like
brought to the
I
yeah.
I do understand that it's a lot of work, but also like if you have multiple people collaborating, it's doable.
It is.
Like within the space of months. I
It
mean,
is,
you've
yeah.
worked
You
on
just
this
have to
yourself,
yeah.
primarily
Yeah,
recently.
yeah.
You also took time off from doing this, correct?
Yeah. So, the 2 years that I wasn't working on Act 8 at all, obviously I didn't work on this.
Right.
And when I came back, initially I'm just gonna do a scene or two and see how that makes me feel, and turned out I liked it, so I kept doing it. And I think I started working back up on this last year.
Right.
And things just kind of kept coming up where I couldn't work on it and do the updates at the same time. But that was okay now because I was able to kind of stop doing updates at, I don't know when my last one was. I want to say July. Did I update in August? It doesn't seem right.
Sounds right. July sounds right.
July sounds right.
I think I still have it open on my.
Yeah, and so now I've been focusing on it. You do just need someone who knows exactly what they're doing.
May, actually, it was.
Oh, May. Oh, okay. Interesting.
Time is super fast.
Yeah. Oh, that's right, because I was getting tear gassed those months, so I was not updating.
Yes, it's almost like something happened around.
Something
May 30th.
happened around May 30th. I don't know what.
That's the
I don't know what could have happened with maybe a global pandemic and like nationwide.
May 30th and 31st, you have your update, which might have crossed a time zone because of how weird PFA does the dates.
That's true.
Like, it does the dates based on, like, Greenwich Mean Time, I think.
I think I had to go back and add a final page I forgot.
Oh, probably. That makes sense. Because it's just the day after. But yeah, like, there's definitely something that happened in the world.
Stuff happened.
And you were still working on things.
I was still...
Yeah, you worked on the intermission, and you've been working on this.
Mm-hmm. So that's when I kind of switched over to getting Resolve done, and there's a lot that I accomplished in that time, and we're still kind of rounding the corner on it.
Still doing it.
Based on how the Jake Punch animation, which I guess I can just go ahead and...
Came out nicely.
Open, that came out pretty good.
You said you finished his cake?
I did. Yeah, I have another way I might want to do it, but I'm just going to show this for the people. Because about here, I'm just kind of having it wave in the background, but really it would be kind of cool if like it came up and then it sort of kind of whipped around, like it kept going up, and kind of went back and forth a little bit, and then maybe came back this way.
I will nod along as I wait for the update on the stream so I can see what you're referring to.
Oh, of course. Yes, of course.
Nice. It looks good. Oh, nice. That's awesome.
Oh, wow. Yeah, it looks really good.
Yeah.
It does look good.
So I might go and revisit that, but I'm not letting myself, like, revisit things forever. Because there's a lot more that needs to get done.
Finish the work.
Finish the work, yeah.
I love the Caliborn reflection.
Yeah.
That's such a nice detail.
Oh, that was nice. Like, help! I'm trapped in glasses. And I was like, oh, this is cool. I wonder if this shot means something. And my friend, who she's great and she's terrible. She keeps doing this to me. I'll be like, this shot's kind of cool. I wonder what's going on. And she'll always pick up exactly what like the metaphorical context is. And like, oh, that's about Jake feeling trapped in his being trapped in other people's perception of him.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why the enemy framed in the poor Jake. Oh my god, poor everybody. Yeah. Like they're all kids, but
that Jade and Jake conversation was good.
I'm glad because that one. Sometimes like I'm doing the update because it has to get done, and I've already started something, but I don't know exactly what it's about or what's going on. So I'm glad that was received well by people.
One of the best ways to write that kind of dialogue, I find, is to just kind of put yourself in the mind of the characters and then just start writing stuff, because you get that natural feel of the conversation, and then you can go back and like edit it to
That's true.
like consistency issues or like pacing.
I do
But,
like I like things to be very intentional. Like there should be kind of a purpose behind every scene and like a plan. I always want there to be a plan, but you know,
I mean,
sometimes
the plan can be a vague one, or the plan can be a thematic one without it being like they're going to say this specific line at this specific moment. Like I feel like that's how you get a lot of the like kind of like, I think you get a lot of funny and also a lot of insightful lines doing that, because it's like you're not trying too hard to like think it out in advance. It's just like, oh hey, they said this, and that's really like, that's cool, or that's funny, or that's actually a good point.
Yeah, because a lot of lines are very intentional in that way. I kind of know what they're building up to. I know what they're about. I know what's going on. I know what I'm going to deliver on later. But yeah, sometimes it's literally just, well, we'll see. We'll just see.
I try to do, I very much like do sort of like method writing for characters, where I try to like think of how they're feeling and then just kind of start writing dialogue, which has advantages and disadvantages. It's not great for like if you really got stuff you need to get done plot wise, like that's when you got to kind of sit down and be like, okay, what are they going to talk about here?
Yeah, because one thing Homestuck does really well is, all the conversations are very intentional. They have something, they're trying to hand something over that's very specific. That doesn't mean it's always a good thing that you want. Sometimes it's like, I don't want this, hussy. And he's like, well, bye. And he leaves.
So I think kind of nailing down some of the issues I had with like a lot of like Jake's dialogue and Dirk's when he gets really rambly in the original comic, is that it feels like it was written to try to do both of those things. Like it feels like it was planned out, at least in the sense of like before he actually literally wrote the dialogue, not very far in advance. But also it feels like it's trying to sound like it's very naturalistic. And sometimes that works, and sometimes it really doesn't. Like when where Dave just keeps like saying stuff that's like supposed to be like funny and random, but it's like, okay, shut up now. Shut up.
This is just how we are towards Dave. I mean, we're this is just, every time Dave is like doing his thing, like, haha, I'm so funny, I'm telling funny jokes, I'm like, sit down for a minute.
Right.
Here,
Like
Dave.
it's and I get that some of that is the point, like that's how he is, but also like the dialogue overstays its welcome at a certain point, and it's just like, okay, cool, I am going to skim this. I am going to keyword search for plot stuff now.
Oh. Because people really like Dave. They like his rants, but I don't necessarily. I was kind of irritated with his attitude from the beginning.
I don't love his. I love the concept of some of what Dave does, but I find like it's really like it's overdone to the point where it gives me the fucking heebie-jeebies at certain point.
There's some points where a character should, if they have enough self-awareness to be like a decent person you would want to hang out with, would not do that, and he still does it, and you're like, Homestuck. Exactly. I don't like these characters anymore. They upset me.
Or it's just overdoing the balance of the dialogue, where it's like just a wall of Dave just saying random stuff, and it's like, okay,
it's time to listen to Dave talk and not say anything that matters for an hour, and that's fine. Like I want him to not do that though, because other people are actually trying to accomplish things in their situation, and Dave does not.
And you could show that element of his character if you cut down on on the volume of that and just have it be like, okay, he does this for like a little bit, or he does it periodically, so you get that sense of his character, but you don't get lost in this just sea of red text. Like when I've written Dave in a variety of ways, and not as much as I maybe could, but I've tried to write him in that sort of like he doesn't take anything seriously way, because that's
Yeah.
absolutely part of his character. But I try to like I try to keep it like he does it, but it's not just like him going on and on and on. It's like he does it a little bit, and then someone else responds to him, or we talk about something else, and it's like you get the point, but it doesn't get old.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the experience I had writing that Dave Cat piece, because Dave was the narrator. I was like,
Yeah.
okay, so I want to establish that Dave is going off on a Dave tangent, and it's going to be
Yeah.
fun, but it's not going to be like boring to read, and it's not going to be useless. There's going to be like a point to the rambling.
Right. And that was good. Like
He's
it came
always
across.
he's saying a lot to avoid saying anything.
Yeah.
Which would be
Exact.
fine if we ever got him to, you know, stop doing that. But it's because
also,
it's
like-
funny. We just let him keep doing it, which is what the
Yeah.
character's about. But you gotta be like, dude, shut the fuck up.
As
or
as
help.
a writer, you also have to be mindful of the experience of reading your own work.
Yeah, that's yeah.
Like it's like this is just I don't want to read this. It's boring to read. Like that's not a place you want to be. And like I don't know. I guess maybe some people were like, yeah, that's hilarious, and I love reading Dave just going off and rambling for hours. But I didn't like that.
Like, it was funny, the Jupiter thing. That was funny because it was the first time. We're like, oh, Dave's trying too hard to entertain his friends. That okay, I get
Right.
it. I get this guy. I get it. And then never stops.
Yeah, or do it and just cut it down a little bit. Like he doesn't have to do it for like half the dialogue. He can just do it for like a paragraph, and it's like, oh, I see what he's doing. Now we're
Yeah.
gonna talk
So I have
about something
Roxy
else.
just talk at Dirk, but she's doing it like because she's very worried about him. She's trying to kind of establish that
Right.
connection. She's kind of she keeps giving him invitations to like be receptive and
Also,
get
like there's a
involved.
certain awareness of like why the characters talk the way they do.
Mhm.
Like Dirk goes on these rants to avoid like dealing with shit.
Mhm.
Roxy tends to do that because she's nervous.
yeah.
Like it's like that's one of the things. Like when I was writing their dialogue for I think come out as non-binary in Air to the Listless. No, they come out later. With their dialogue in Air to the Listless was like really trying to capture that energy of like I'm doing this because I'm like concerned and like
Yeah.
kind of keyed up.
Exactly. She is very worked up in Act 8. Like she is extremely fucking nervous.
Like that's something I really. It's an interesting thing to examine and like.
This is a bad drawing. This is not good. I keep trying to make it good and it keeps not being good, so it's just not going to be good.
It's a good drawing.
No.
Stop.
No.
Stop being like
No.
this.
It's fine. It's one drawing in
It's
a
one
really
drawing.
long
Yeah,
Yes.
you're right.
series
You're
of
right.
things.
You're right. Okay, let's.
Like,
I gotta give her
don't-
fork. She needs a fork.
I feel like there's several characters that do like long rants for different reasons, and like I feel like Andrew Hussey, when writing, never knew when to make them stop doing that. Like you've made your point, now it's time to stop.
Well,
Like,
not to,
yeah, that's
you
a
know,
problem.
not to,
Mhm.
not to, you know, yeah, I don't need to say
We
anything.
know.
I don't need
We
to say
all
anything.
know.
You know, we know. Let's just.
Like when I was doing like with the alt Dirk narration segments when I'm writing alt Dirk, I do have him go on a couple like rants, but they're like 2 paragraphs. It's like if you're trying to have him do something, it's like have him talk for a couple paragraphs and then have someone respond to him or have something else happen. Like just having
interrupt him, otherwise he will keep going because oh my
Right.
god. I really enjoy writing Dirk because he's very relatable. Even though he's got all these problems, he's still like a very understandable character. You know why he is the way he is. He's a product of all the things that have been going on. So that he just kind of keeps talking at Rose
Yeah.
because he keeps digging and realizes, oh shit, I've revealed that I'm an unstable person. We can fix this. Keeps digging.
We can fix this by making it worse.
We can fix this by making it worse.
Wrap around and it'll be good.
Mm.
Also, one thing that bugs me about it is like these are supposed to be, in a lot of cases, they're supposed to be like text messages. Like,
Oh yeah,
even
no, I
on
threw
a-
that realism
even
out the
on a-
fucking window because that doesn't work.
on a fucking keyboard, like the style of communication presented by texting is very brief, and you're trying to it's writing text dialogue should be about the highlight reel of a real conversation. Like, obviously
Yeah.
when you're actually texting someone, there's just tons of nonsense bullshit, and like you should go through and you should like get to the distilled point and the stuff that's fun to read of the conversation and get rid of the rest. Like, and things like Rose writing these long responses, like that makes sense for her character, but again, like, balance it out against readability.
I think Rose isn't actually all that verbose.
She's not.
She's not.
She-
She is to the point. Because she's got
Right.
like this. She's genuinely, at least she's very. She's either very invested and simultaneously invested in, appearing very aloof. Like she's kind of above it all. She cannot really reveal when things bother her because she doesn't trust people with her needs. So.
I think she's a character that like she can switch between being fairly direct and doing these like garden path ass ways of saying everything.
Mhm.
And it's like when she's doing that, it's usually for a reason.
Yeah.
Oftentimes because she's trying not to like talk about something.
When she doesn't like people, she'll be extremely direct. When she's
Right.
neutral on people or positive towards them, but still doesn't really want to engage with what they're trying to get her to engage with, she'll lead them on like these winding conversational roads
Right.
that don't actually get to where the other person's trying to go. She'll just kind of like lead them around. She's great. I love Rose.
One of the things I like in writing Rose to do is to have her like, and I tend to do conversation as Facebook Messenger style bubbles. I've moved away from doing the PestraQuest logs because I find them difficult, like from an accessibility standpoint, to read
Yeah.
sometimes. But one of the fun things to do that really is like easily highlighted with the Facebook style messenger bubbles is have Rose do like a long ass paragraph, like talking about whatever, and then have her say something that's like one line. So it's like she like gets to the point all at once and very direct.
Oh yeah.
Like that's a fun thing to write.
Yeah. The I am not Icarus bit.
Right.
We did that. She's gonna have a really good scene after Resolve. I'm very excited for it.
Nice.
And we're gonna see June again as well. It's gonna be more June time.
Nice. I'm looking forward to that.
Me too. I'm very excited for what I'm gonna call the back half of the project, just because it's gonna be good. I hope it's gonna be really good. I'm a much stronger writer than I was when I started this. I have much stronger intentions than I did when I started this. So I think there's a lot of good things I can do now that I've had the experience of working on it for as long as I had. And I have some more confidence about things I wanted to do as well, because I was very fortunate to start hanging out with Daft more and then create this little server, and people actually are willing to, I guess, validate some of my perspectives, which is nice. I didn't know I was allowed to have that, frankly. Yeah.
Oh my god, did I? Hold on, I'm looking through.
Also, hey Daft, welcome back after.
Hi,
It sounds like your ear's better.
Sounds like your
maybe.
ear's good.
Yes, it is better. It's
too
funny because I actually had an infarction along with getting it
Oh no, I'm
pierced,
sorry.
but now the earwax is gone.
Good.
Good. That's
Good.
awesome.
I'm
'Cause you
still,
need-
for the most part, taking it easy, but my ear is fine enough to where I can actually do this stuff. I'm just not wearing my headphones, essentially.
That's wise. I'm glad you're being careful about it.
Good.
Yeah.
Probably
Yeah,
good.
because you can't get new ears yet. We haven't figured that out. Trying
I'm
to
pretty
eat
sure if
food.
you're like a Coke billionaire or
Oh,
Trump,
sure.
you probably could.
Probably could,
Again,
but yeah.
In the future, we can upgrade ourselves.
Ugh, but you're gonna have to get like an Alexa chip in your brain, so gonna be bad.
Oh my god, did I?
I
That
am
was a-
so glad to hear that I enabled you. Ha ha ha.
Well, good, because I kind of needed to be. I was like, not I don't know. I didn't have the right attitude. I'd been browbeaten so much. I'd kind of like internalized some stupid shit.
Yeah, that's very very easy to do.
Very easy to
Yeah.
do in this fandom.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I hope I have enabled all of you to do more Homestuck stuff, but with a more,
Mhm.
emboldened critical perspective than just being all like, hey, maybe I should lean back a little bit. No,
No,
it's
lean
either
in
go
with
hard
a
or go
knife.
home.
Yeah, go hard or go
Oh,
home. Yeah.
I got to that point. Actually, I was there pretty much already because I had some
Good.
issues with a lot of how stuff was presented, but also that one update that happened. I
Oh.
just kind of like leaned into being critical and didn't stop. Like it's like there's issues with these characters that you should probably address.
Mm-hmm. Oh
So,
boy.
the Ancestors fiction, which legally requires you to
Where
either
is-
be real critical of the source material or just
Yeah, the
Yeah,
Ancestors are like some of the messiest
that
shit in Homestuck.
yeah,
Not the messiest shit in Homestuck, but some of the
But
messiest shit in
it's-
Homestuck.
not bad. It's got some landmines in there.
Very
You
bad
know, one day
intentions.
I'm
very
gonna
bad
like finish the Born of Want series because my God, was negotiated consent really good. But yeah,
I'm glad you enjoyed that.
yeah, it's really good. I highly, highly recommend it if you hate Homestuck 2 as much as I do.
It was a good, very satisfying dig into like what would have actually been satisfying from that situation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know it's coming from a very different perspective because they set up so much bullshit with the epilogues, but like they didn't have to do
didn't have to
any
d-
of that.
No one has to do anything.
You're literally not being forced to write this. Why are you like this? Homestuck?
No one's making you do this.
And,
I
like,
really wish they had just like sold the epilogues to the It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia people because it would have actually really funny if they had did it in that show.
Right. I want that if they want to do that, I want them to go harder. I want to like everyone's fandom fave babies to just start
Right.
being these abysmal people. Let's do it.
So that would actually be a very funny concept for a fic.
Mhm.
Yeah, I actually am thinking about just reworking Candy as It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia fan fiction. I
think
do
that'd be
think that
good.
would be extremely hilarious, but I haven't been enabled enough to do that.
Sorry, I'm
I-
trying. I'm sending you
Can I
psychic
something?
beams. Yes,
Can I
sorry.
say something very cursed with limited context?
I'm upset already, so go
Do
for
it.
it.
White milk.
Oh!
What
I
did you say?
barely remember. I barely
Fight
remember
Milk.
Fight Milk. I've not watched
Fight
that much Sunny.
Just put all that
no,
together.
No.
Epilogues,
I'm curious
Always
about.
Sunny. Just bask in it.
I'm doing something. It's not basking.
And realize how much you dislike
It
the
feels like
epilogue.
indigestion.
Let your
Oh my god.
Let your
Oh
hatred
my
run.
god.
It's always
yeah.
candy. There's your title. Go for it.
Always candy.
Oh my god. Okay, so it would mean specifically Dave and maybe Carcat like promoting Fight Milk.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where does it come from? Don't ask that question.
Okay, well, you have to. I guess you're
It's
contractually
not my
obligated
fault that
now.
House is like this.
Actually, Janaya, somehow, yes, it's your responsibility.
It's my I am old enough that theoretically it could be my fault,
You
except that
ghost wrote it the whole
I had
time.
no engagement. I am not going to claim that. I was not like that in 2009.
Oh,
I
oh,
was never like that, but
that's-
even my edgy phase was like 10 years prior to that.
I need some mountains. Should I just get a
Sure.
panel I've made before and be very lazy, or should I be not lazy and I should be good?
You should be whatever you feel is appropriate. I
I
feel
don't
like
know.
you
I
can
kind
be
of like staring at this little cow here. He looks good. He looks very
He does
dapper.
not. You know he's bad.
look.
No, but he looks
Technically-
good,
He looks good.
and he is bad.
He's bad.
He looks technically well constructed. That's-
Cow
I'm gonna
doll
stick with
is
that.
the one slur of
Oh,
Homestuck.
No, why did you say that?
How
I can say
bad
what I want.
could
It's my
he
stream.
be? How bad could he be?
How bad could he be?
No.
I still have to do the Alt Calliope fan cam. So how bad? How bad can she be? She's just doing what comes natural.
Oh no, please. I don't want to enable you to do something like that for the love of God.
All right. For the tone of your voice, though, it seems like yes, I should do it.
Jesus.
The Big Joel Lorax video is just mandatory reading. I think it's so good. How is it so good? I
There's
keep
a
coming
lot.
back to it.
And I'm still amazed that there was a Onceler fandom. Like, not the Lorax, the Onceler.
You know what? I have an image actually saved about that.
Oh.
Nice.
It's like from Tumblr. You've probably seen it if you were around in 2014 or something.
I fucked up.
Let's see.
I wasn't on anything in 2014.
Brevity.
But I wasn't on Tumblr until pretty recently.
Yeah, I've been on Tumblr since actually maybe like late 2010.
I'm
Mm.
sorry.
That's a long time.
That is a very long
It's a long
time.
time.
So in internet time, that's approximately 3,000 years.
Hello, Daft local elder god. What is your wisdom?
Oh jeez, I posted that fucking like blended post in here. I have no idea how many of you guys thought that was funny, but that is still like my favorite
no.
post on Tumblr.
Where?
Which-
What channel? Did I miss it? What did I miss?
It was in general. Like, I just posted blended. You were there. You saw. You were all like, "Hey, maybe I should stream fucking blended for the Resolve party." And then everyone had collective aneurysm.
No, we keep joking about what we're gonna watch for the Resolve Party. At this rate, it's gonna be just nothing because I can only say memes.
Madagascar. We have to watch Madagascar.
Okay, Madagascar and Galaxy Quest.
We are going
It's
to
gonna
watch,
be Galaxy Quest.
We're going to watch 3-minute clips of a variety of movies strung together
Yes.
in a way that
Yeah.
barely coherent.
Yeah, like one time I watched Food Fight set to like a 10-hour loop of Careless Whisper.
That's
Just
probably
to
the
see
best
what
way
would
to watch
happen to me. And I'm fine, as you can tell. I'm clearly doing just fine. So,
You know, when you search Food Fight and I thought of Sausage Party, but the joke of it is one is not a better movie than the other because
nice.
Sausage Party was a bad movie.
Bad movie.
I have not seen Sausage Party, but I feel that would give me a hernia if I watch
Do
it.
not
It
watch
would.
it.
It would.
It is. It
You
is
are correct in that
somehow
assumption.
not about humans, but also extremely racist and sexist in a way that feels intensely mean-spirited.
Oh yeah,
Wow.
here it is.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm gonna find it. Oh.
Oh, but John, I go ahead and continue talking about.
Yeah,
fucking-
because we were talking.
No, I have nothing else to say about Sausage Party. That movie was terrible, and
I
my
think
brain
people
tries to
were
suppress
talking in like the Will at Homestuck General about migratory slash fandom. This is not exactly the same thing, but it's a similar thing. There's just this, but there's just this one guy, and he's not really connected to any of the characters. He doesn't have like meaningful relationships in the movie or anything. He's just this cautionary
Yeah.
tale. So what do? This apparently you do this.
Here we see two once the fans meeting for the first time. They do not know yet
God.
if they can trust each other, so they will emit the traditional mating call. How bad can I be?
Well, go to jail, please. Go to jail, please. I'm anti-incarceration, but I'll make an exception. Go to prison, time prison. Stay there for a million years. Go to time prison.
If there's like one constructive thing that I ever heard come out of the whole fucking Sausage Party thing, it was like baby's first indoctrination to Hollywood not treating its animators very well, underpaying them, giving them terrible working conditions. Yeah.
I thought you were going to say don't watch Sausage Party because that's.
But yeah, don't watch Sausage
Watch
Party.
it. Don't do
But
it.
not in the vein that Hollywood is corrupt and always looks over its employees, because that is kind of a universal truth about capitalism.
Mhm.
What matters is that you're able to have constructive arguments about how to stop this behavior. The reason I would
Yeah.
never watch Sausage Party is because it just doesn't have anything to offer me as an
Mhm.
movie-going critic type person, or just a moviegoer in general. It has absolutely nothing that I would enjoy or like.
Completely straight here, completely seriously. It is a terrible movie, but like it's terrible in a way that's not even fun. Like it's extremely racist, it's extremely misogynistic. It's both of those things in the very like, casual like haha lol, it's just a joke kind of way that's often the case. Like there's a fucking like falafel that's like a Greek stereotype slash middle, and there's like
fine.
there's one character that's a Middle Eastern stereotype, and I'm pretty sure they make a terrorist joke. Of course they make a terrorist joke. It's in there.
Seth
somewhere.
Rogen worked on it. Of course, they were going to make a terrorist joke.
Like that kind of shit. But it's not even like wow, this is like hilariously bad. It's just like wow, this is really, I don't like watching this. Like it's just unpleasant to watch and not funny, and like
Sometimes bad things are bad.
Yeah, I also heard there was like a taco character that was basically a lesbian joke.
Yeah.
Also, I'm pretty sure a joke about Latinx folks. Probably, I don't remember because I'm not kidding. My brain is trying very hard to suppress all knowledge I have of this movie. Eventually, it will be like there's some movie I realized recently that I had watched, but then like forgot all details about. And I was like, oh, my brain is protecting me. And now I don't even remember what movie it was.
Oh,
So
you know what?
cool.
There actually is something that I want to say about that movie.
Oh.
I had heard like critics talk about it like it was basically reverse Toy Story. Like the humans are the ones who give these inanimate objects, or in this case, edible objects, food meaning. But at the very end of the day, the edible objects turn on their human overlords because it is an extremely parasitic relationship in all aspects. And there are so many things very fucking wrong with making that a food and human thing.
Yeah.
There are like so many terrible, terrible implications behind every single facet of this movie, speaking from the biological to the historical, that I don't think I could ever watch that movie and just not have an aneurysm 3 seconds in.
This is-
what's-
you
There's
just-
just too many
yeah,
problems.
It's like the Ring.
It's a bad movie. It's a
not
real
good.
bad movie. Don't watch it.
Don't watch it. If you're gonna
It's not even like
stop,
It's not even.
stop and don't.
It's not even like food. Like it gets crossed up with Food Fight in my brain because like it's of a similar level of quality, but Food Fight is just like hilariously bad. I mean, Food Fight was also pretty racist and misogynistic and
Yes.
gross, but it was also like hilariously terrible. in a way that was entertaining to some degree. And it had what's his face, Christopher Lloyd, for some reason, agreed to lend his voice to that movie.
Yeah, Marty, we gotta go. We gotta go and do the voiceover for Food Fight, Marty. Marty, we gotta.
I don't understand that, but it's a thing that happens. So that's an ultimate. I feel like that was
Morty, we
somebody's,
gotta read
like,
Homestuck Morty.
Was that fucking Charlie Sheen? I think it was Charlie Sheen's project.
I don't think it was like his pet project. Was it? Did he want
He
that to
embezzled a lot of
happen?
money. Let's say that.
Oh.
Did embezzle a lot of money. Oh, it's all one word with an exclamation point. Okay, it was directed by some dude I've never heard of.
Oh, good.
Lawrence Kasanoff. What the fuck? What the hell? Directed by... You cannot make this shit up.
Andrew
Directed by
Hussey.
the man who wrote Mortal Kombat Annihilation.
Oh, good.
And was the producer for a bunch of Lego stuff. Bionicle thing, The Afterlife, a TV movie, Mortal Kombat Conquest, the TV series. That was a bad one. Mortal Kombat Annihilation, Mortal Kombat Defenders of the Realm, the other TV series, Mortal Kombat, a bunch of Mortal Kombat shit. So much Mortal Kombat stuff. Was an executive producer for True Lies. Was Chud 2, Bud the Chud, executive producer. Yeah, a lot of real high profile stuff.
Oh, good.
Truly, a quality check was done and performed.
Yeah.
I mean,
Because if you watch Food Fight, which I don't recommend, the thing is, it's visually one of the most hideous things you'll ever see with your eyes. But the story is, like, just a bunch of, like, functional tropes. It's not, like, the story... I won't say it's good, because it's, like, kind of misogynist and just boring, but it's, like, not so fucking horrible. Like, it's not incomprehensible, like, say, Birdemic or something, or The Room.
Right.
Like, that's not where the humor of the experience is. Like, you're not gonna be, I can't believe this is happening. You're gonna be like, I can't believe this is happening and it looks like this in front of me and I'm seeing it this way. And that's where the problem is. This looks terrible. What am I doing?
The fuck? 3 of the writers on this, on Food Fight, were writers for Mortal Kombat Annihilation.
Yeah,
including the 2
this is the
primary
sequel.
writers.
This is the sequel to Mortal Kombat.
This is the sequel to Mortal Kombat.
So,
like, the two story writers are both the lead writers on Mortal Kombat Annihilation, and one of the screenplay writers is one of the screenplay writers for Mortal Kombat Annihilation. At least.
Yeah.
I stopped clicking through after. Okay, 2 of them are not, but, like, I don't know. They don't have a lot of writing credits. Let's put it that way.
yeah. I did bad. I did a bad thing.
One of the writers on this, the project they wrote before Food Fight was The Littlest Angel, a charming Christian animated story.
Wow.
This is a Christian food fight in our Christian
You
food
wanna
fight
know-
server. So
it's selling out, defined in a single image.
because there was
No,
originally
you
gonna
don't
be,
understand.
like-
They really believed in that. They really believed in the integrity of this Christian project. How dare you?
How dare you? How dare you suggest this is not completely genuine?
Brand X is Satan. Brand X represents Satan, and
Brand X is Alt Calliope.
Jesus is
Oh,
represented
no.
by Jesus is represented by the Charlie Sheen dog character, who makes sex jokes throughout.
Great, fantastic. So all you gotta do now, whenever you watch something and there's a clear delineation between good and evil, you have to make this. Here's how you do an Alt Calliope reading. You assume that the text is wrong and it's in denial about something, and then you take the
Right.
you take the villain and you go, okay, that's Alt Calliope, and then there you go.
I'm going to assume that Food Fight is wrong, and it's in denial about the fact that it is probably the worst movie ever produced.
Yes. So what would people who are in this position to make Food Fight, and they initially wanted to make all these deals with the different brands to get all the mascots in there, what the hell could brand X be? What is brand X doing here? Is it like
Oh,
what's
Momo,
yeah?
I can't believe you missed this. It's so easy.
No,
to
I'm
find
asking you. I'm
this.
prompting for yeah, I have an idea.
Brand X is nuclear warfare.
What?
I think Brand X represents.
Explain yourself. I should not yell, but I have to, Daft. I have to yell.
Well, it's mostly kind of a joke about how whenever something new comes around, people will automatically start fear mongering because capitalism is a system that's set in place to crush new ideas,
Mhm.
essentially.
Mhm.
Like, capitalism is very comfortable with the people at top. They want everyone, the 90%, to stay on the bottom. And if something like revolutionary or a revolutionary idea, product comes into the market, then the capitalist overlords will basically start fear mongering and they'll basically do crowd control in a sense,
Mm,
if that makes any sense.
mhm.
And you can just use like the reason I chose nuclear warfare as a joke is because it's just such a bomb of a conversational topic. Ha ha ha. But also,
I-
like like the people at top, they do benefit from the conversation of us being ignorant about nuclear warfare, and that ignorance is weaponized us against us as a society.
I think
Mhm,
Brand
mhm.
X in this film represents specifically the Disney Corporation, and the Charlie Sheen character represents Charlie Sheen and his psychosexual frustration that the Disney Corporation turned down his pitch idea.
Oh, I
That's really
see.
funny.
Okay, okay. All right. Reaches for a button under my desk labeled "Time Prison," and pushes it for both of you. But yes, because what they do is they also put like a bunch of Nazi imagery for Brand X, which
They sure
they
did.
they do that. They certainly do that. That's great.
That
It's not.
that was very. That was a
Because
lot.
what is this? How is this like?
There's also a very blatantly black coded character that's a fucking chocolate squirrel.
I'm mad.
Yeah, there is. There
He
most
is the
certainly is.
grossest character in the whole thing, and I have a lot of feelings about that they made that decision. Everything
It's
is
not a good, it's not a
terrible.
good movie. It's not a good
Is there
movie.
transphobia in the movie? I don't remember. Probably.
Probably. Let's just say there is. It's safe enough.
Yeah,
bet.
but like it seems as though Brand X is specifically a sort of fear mongering, specific to the way that capitalist identities will impose their will on the general public and their competition as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
Also, what the fuck did all these people owe them that like so they've got like a bunch of people that are not like I wouldn't say they're A-list celebrities, but they're definitely well known. We have Charlie Sheen, Hilary Duff, Eva Longoria, Wayne Brady, Christopher Lloyd, Chris Kattan. Now we're starting to get far down the list. But like, what the fuck did you owe that you're like, yes, I'm going to do this. I believe in this project. Or did he just like shove a script in front of their face and be like, read these lines? Which actually, given the delivery, that wouldn't surprise me.
If you want me
trying
to
to
be
get-
honest with you, I'm pretty sure that Food Fight started out as some kind of money laundering
Actually
scheme
get there,
for
we
Charlie
go.
Sheen to just get
Yeah,
I
that too.
think I've heard that.
Me too.
I've heard that idea batted around, and I think you're probably right. It's like a way of like the ways to claim tax credits by making like a tier. It's like the producers, but real.
Yeah, but the things that we've just been theorizing it are a lot more fun than just being all like, "Oh, Hollywood
They
terrible."
are.
yeah,
The
but,
real
like-
story is boring.
Yeah.
you
the
were
real
gonna
story.
try and put all these like cereal and soup brands and stuff because that was the original intention. So I'm interpreting it along the lines of what they thought the movie was going to do, even though they didn't get that. So every time I see like a cartoon fish, I'm imagining the tuna fish thingy or something because I that's like what I know was supposed to go there before bad things happened. So
It's how you get like I would imagine that what they were looking to do was to crank out a really shitty movie quickly, get brands on board as a sponsorship thing, um, and then claim some kind of like tax break for making the movie, which is made on a budget that looks like it's approaching zero. So like, yeah,
Oh,
basically,
Yeah, and that movie was like really, really, really expensive at the time too, which was even
like
more.
it was wink, wink, really expensive. That was it. The
Well-
budget was like way more than you would think, which is not at all.
Yeah, if you get stuck in development hell, things can be expensive, but you have to be incompetent to a certain degree.
Right.
So,
I think
yeah.
I think the budget was listed as like $50 million or something, and like that raises all kinds of financial red
Yeah,
flags.
what happened? Something happened.
Get tax
Aliens.
Definitely aliens. It was definitely
Alien.
aliens. Human incompetence cannot explain this. So
I'm sorry. The budget is estimated between $45 and $65 million. Hey, it made $73,000 at the box office.
Wow.
I don't know.
I don't believe it went to theaters. I know it did. I know that's what you're saying happened to me, and there's like evidence that has happened. I'm choosing to not experience that acknowledgement.
I agree.
Yeah.
I don't want to.
I don't want to.
Wait,
I'm
wait,
opting out.
Okay. This is actually like foreign
Yeah.
pre-sale loans against the sales. This is actually looking like that. Yes, this was a straight up like financial scheme.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that if there was some entity that was screwed over by the Charlie Sheen Corporation, quote unquote, during the
The war.
production of this movie, they could
War.
theoretically sue for billions of dollars, I imagine.
Yeah.
The IRS could sue. They could sue, but they're not
Yeah.
going to do that.
I'm not gonna.
Yeah, Kazanov reported in 2002 or late 2002, early 2003, Kazanov reported that hard drives containing most unfinished assets from the film had been stolen in what he called an act of industrial espionage
Uh-huh.
and an incredibly complex crime, saying they got into the cold room, a room within a room within a room. An
No.
investigation which included
No.
the United States Service was unable
No.
to
No,
find.
I'm pretty sure the animators were just way too embarrassed to like
I'm
put
pretty
their
sure
product
it
in the
wasn't the
theater.
original
And they were all like
animation.
went up to Charlie Sheen and were all like, "Hey, can we just destroy this?" And he was all like, "Oh yeah, sure, I don't care."
Out of all the things we were going to talk about today, I wasn't mentally prepared for it to be food fight. Or
I
sausage
apologize.
party.
I apologize. I get these ideas that, oh, we're gonna have nice structured conversations about like things relevant to the project and Homestuck. That never fucking happens. It's always like, let's talk about what's going on outside, and then let's talk about a very bad movie.
There's
It's
more.
good, it's good.
It was released and distributed by the insurance company that held the contract.
Oh my
Oh.
god.
Oh.
And they got sued for not delivering. And it says finally in 2011 the film was auctioned for $2.5 million. Story Arc investors had ultimately invoked a clause in their contract that allowed the Fireman's Fund insurance company, which had insured Food Fight, to complete and release the
Oh
film.
my
as
god, they literally
inexpensively
were legally
and
forced to
quickly
make
as
it.
possible.
That's why it looks like that. That's what happens when you like legally force a human to make food fight.
And
It's
Oh.
one guy. It's definitely just one poor guy.
Animator Ken Bailey, who's probably the only animator, stated that the film was already ruined. They were just trying to salvage what they could.
Oh no. Oh
I am
dear.
so sorry, Ken.
Oh
I am so
dear.
freaking sorry.
It was denounced for taking product placement. Oh, that's right. They actually did have real brands. I'm thinking of the one that had fake brands was Sausage Party. Food Fight had real, honest to God brands in it. the
Yeah,
fucking
Oh, that's right.
specifically
They
remember
did
that.
get some.
The
The sun
chunk
kissed-
light people, the
Yeah.
sun kissed people. I
And-
specifically remember them because we ate that brand of tuna all the
So
time.
I'm
back
going to
when I was with my
describe,
parents.
like you've probably seen the cover, but I'm going to describe it because it's better that way. In a shopping cart, center frame, we have the sun-kissed tuna fish, the Twinkie with his rodeo getup on, the Vlasic pickle stork, and Mrs. Butterworth, all riding in this shopping cart, smiling, surrounded by flying food items. In the background, they're being chased by a dog detective, voiced by Charlie Sheen, and a cat lady, voiced by, I believe, Cameron Diaz, if I'm remembering that correctly. Oh no,
She
Hilary
has
Duff,
like,
I'm sorry.
no- oh
Hilary
my
Duff?
god, that's
Oh my God.
right. Oh
Hmm.
no, I repressed that information. Oh, Hillary.
Oh no.
Oh, Hillary,
This is
no.
a movie released by an insurance
I know
company.
she had to play that weird lady with the Naruto whiskers.
Yes, the cat
You
lady.
know,
in
I
it.
look at that character nowadays, and I'm just reminded of Raku-chan from fucking Neon Nickel Sugar Girls.
Right. So,
no,
basically, in short, a shopping cart with 4 brand icons being chased by somebody's fetish.
Oh no, that's life in America. That's
Right. The United
that's
States.
our culture.
Right.
Enjoy.
exactly.
I feel bad.
As you should.
Yeah.
All right. Well, what can I
You guys want
accomplish?
some lore? You guys want
Lore?
some freaking lore?
I want some freaking lore.
Yeah, Sausage Party was frickin' funded by vor fetishists. Okay. I'm
What?
done. I'm
How do
done.
we know this? No, how do we know this? How do we know? How do
Yeah,
prove?
you're
Proof.
joking.
Proof.
Evidence.
I'm
Evidence.
joking.
Joke.
Oh.
Jokes.
Joke. Big
Aw.
joke time.
Okay.
You have
This
to
is
See,
gigantic joke
'cause we
about
all
the end of the
believe
movie or
you
something
enough to
because, like,
Demand you provide evidence because of what we've been, the kind of conversations we've been having today.
I mean,
no, that movie is so fucking weird in such esoteric ways that I am somewhat convinced that vor fetishists were behind the funding of this movie.
Yeah,
But I'm not.
probably.
Give it a-
I mean,
I wouldn't be surprised.
yeah.
I believe it. I
Like, that whole
Naruto
movie is
believe
very
it.
fetishy in like a very uncomfortable sort of way.
oh, absolutely.
Oh, it's there's a lot going on. Sometimes when you read something, you're learning more about a person than you want to, and that very much was happening. So
Yeah, exactly. I learned, unsurprisingly, Seth Rogen is kind of a gross person.
the more you know,
The more I already
the more
knew.
you already, the more I already. Okay, that's good. I'm gonna make you an edit of that you're gonna have for whenever something happens that's not very
Nice.
surprising. I promise, I will make you this. We all
Hey,
need to
I
have
would appreciate that.
gonna
And
happen.
also, I feel like I could find a lot of use for that
it. Uh-huh.
within the Homestuck fandom alone.
Yeah. It's bad here. But I'm trying to make it better. I think that's what I'm trying to do.
That's valid.
I think that's my goal here.
I think that's your goal.
I think that's my goal.
I was gonna make a comment about Homestuck related stuff way before we got on the food fight tangent, and I remembered it just now. So I was gonna say that of all the ways to continue after after Act 7 happened, like, I find it really weird that the epilogues chose to be what they were, because like I've seen and written a variety of, like, here's how the characters like develop as people type stuff, like post Suburb, but stuff like Act 8 where you can take the general like conceit.
Did you die or am I lagging? I might be lagging because I don't hear anybody.
Thematic and like mechanical elements, but in a way that I think is a lot fairer to the characters. Like they actually have like development, and it's like I don't understand why it's like, okay, let's continue the Suburb construct, like, neat, we're gonna make everybody a terrible person, and they're all gonna hate each other.
Well, it's trying to provoke you into correcting it, or like
Oh.
saying, "Oh, this is a bad ending, so you have the opportunity to imagine a better one." I was already doing that. I don't need you to
Yeah,
hit me in the face.
I'm pretty
don't-
sure that the epilogues in Homestuck 2 are written like that, as a very quiet and understated way of getting the fans mad and then writing more content. So, see,
Yeah.
because
People,
if the
yeah,
are making more content in the eyes of potential investors and other people, then Homestuck is still a profitable brand. It's a
Yeah.
very calculated sort of move. And while I can appreciate that in a business sense, as an author myself, I think that's absolutely disgusting.
Yeah, I don't like that. I don't like it.
I like it.
That's
Don't
why
do it.
That's why I'm very purely on the take that Homestuck 2 and the epilogues are just bad on every single conceivable level, because if they're this manufactured level of getting a rise out of the audience while also trying to steal people's money. It's like, what is the fucking point?
It's a lack of understanding the ramifications of their intentions on people and on themselves.
Yeah.
I think because it's caused a lot of problems for people who have approached that idea in very good faith, assuming that it was going to work out, and then it didn't. So at this
Yeah,
point, you
Homestuck-
have to be you're beyond naive at this point if you try and kind of engage with it at that level.
Yeah, Homestuck is like extremely manufactured, and that's something that you will understand as a Gamzee reader.
Mm-hmm.
And if you get into Homestuck 2 and the epilogues, not only has the Gamzee reader experience been applied to the entire cast, but it is basically inseparable from the experience of Homestuck, which ties back into that whole thing Momo said about why Gamzee is the most important character in
Yeah.
Homestuck. It is specifically for this reason.
It's saying that
The
yeah.
manufacturing abuse and violence and the perpetuation of it still by people who, quite frankly, are stuck.
Mm-hmm. And now it's saying that like the experience Gamzee readers had is actually like the only valid way to experience Homestuck, because it's gonna make everybody else have that experience too.
And while I do appreciate that sentiment, the execution of it
Thank
was
you for the
absolutely
validation,
terrible,
guys.
at the expense of the characters, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's just and then it wants to do that, but it's not doing like the things that Gamzee readers have been forced to do, which is develop like a very conscious analysis of the political implications and the kind of prejudices at heart and the social anxieties that are being exposed here.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Can't make it political.
It
Yeah.
is. No, they want it to be, but then like they don't. They're not like, but they're like neglecting some very serious problems. So
Right.
that's why I had like a little bit of hope with the epilogues being the way they are. Okay, like, okay, maybe we can finally start having this conversation that's been very overdue, but
Right.
people are still very resistant. We had instead what I was worried might happen, which was a very reactionary stand arms race where people's favorite characters would get better and people's least favorite characters would get worse, because we took this open-ended time for Beyond Canon thing to just mean like a Thunderdome of proving that you already like the good thing.
Right.
Yeah, that's been really annoying as somebody who likes Jane at all in any
Yeah.
capacity.
Yeah, like, I think Jane is like one of the biggest cases of like Homestuck fans like really not getting the political and socioeconomic aspects of this comic, because in all honesty, where Jane ended up makes absolute sense, but then you have to consider that she's being pushed through the lens of people who don't care about her, you know, and people already didn't like her because I guess it was what someone said the other day about, oh, it was Valentine was all like, people do not like Jane because as a hyper feminine girl who is born into a position of status, she represents a sociological phenomena that a lot of people really don't like. But just because you don't like something doesn't mean you shouldn't give that the time and attention to learn about it. Because because as this chat demonstrates, rich kids are capable of going through very terrible violence and being indoctrinated in that violence too. It is not your get out of jail free card to not understand those experiences.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And what's really fucking frustrating about that is like being. I realize that the part of this has to do with like being an update culture and not being an archive reader, but it's really frustrating to have experienced Jane through the lens of like she was the only human character who like. And I keep bringing this detail up because it was very significant at the time that she was the only human girl character that like wore pants in canon until like I think
Yeah.
until post canon, and like that she was like the only character to like have a sort of masculine expression before the end of again before post canon content, and like the and I it really doesn't it doesn't sit well with me that that was just kind of shoved under the rug and people were like, "Oh yeah, no. Jane's definitely always been a hyper feminine mean girl and that's been the
No.
only
That is
aspect of her
not true.
character."
Oh
Yeah.
my
And
god.
it's really depressing and it really does serve to like it feels like Jane was continually ignored and not necessarily reviled but thought of as boring by the fandom at large and like ladies
Yes, by
stuck
people who don't know how to read. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I'm so sorry.
No, don't
you're right, but
apologize. You're
people saw-
right. You should say it.
people saw a girl version of John and like checked out after that and didn't like pay any attention to Jane despite the fact that
Oh.
she has a
Jane's
decent amount of screen
important.
time.
You know, if
And she-
Homestuck wanted to commit to the whole Jane is terrible thing, they should have done that to John too, and they just didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like they
There's an inherent misogynistic bias to saying John is better because he was a spoiled rich kid too. People kind of forget that, but you know.
yeah,
Like, the whole
it's really fucking
terrible
frustrating and it's damaging I think to just like do this exact same thing the fandom's been doing for fucking years and write off or disregard any of Jane's characterization because you had a role you needed to fill. That
Right.
I don't disagree with the fact that Jane got there. It makes perfect sense the way that the story is set up in post-canon content that Jane got there. I don't disagree with any of that. However, you would have had a much stronger story if you chose to have a different authoritarian villain and have Jane be caught between
Mm-hmm.
perpetuating the same system she was raised to believe was correct and siding with her friends. She never really had to make that choice. And you'd have a much stronger story if she was forced to make that choice.
Well, it's like
You
with
know,
Jane.
it's funny. I'm sorry, John. I just
no.
want to say this really quick. It's funny that Roxy is the character that has that arc instead of Jane. I think that is
Oh,
fucking
yeah.
hilarious.
Yeah.
Roxy has that arc baked into her backstory. She doesn't need to go through it.
Yeah.
The thing
Roxy's
is that-
arc too. I'm doing the Pagel jump.
Roxy or not Roxy, Jane's whole thing is like you see her in the original canon work starting to try to overcome and like literally fighting against all of the conditioning, which is like super on the nose with the whole Tierra Top mind control thing. It's like, excuse me, the take of, oh, she actually just fell back into what she was raised to be is like the laziest fucking take you could possibly do. It's like that's the cop out, like, you know, we were the real villains all along version of things. It's like she's showing that she's trying to move beyond that, and like rather than showing her either struggle with that or like overcome it, it's just like nope, she just becomes a fascist like she was raised to be.
It's
Predestination.
It's downright horrifying to watch her torture the accursed dog child in Homestuck 2,
Jesus.
and
Yeah.
because
Let's
like
just call her Ruby. Can we just call her Ruby?
We can call her
we
please?
can call her Ruby.
Thank you.
It's horrifying to watch her torture Ruby in Homestuck 2 because like that's literally exactly what she went through.
Yeah.
And it's not it hasn't been that fucking long since she went through that. Why
Right.
is that a decision that they made about her character?
I don't know.
It really
Homestuck's
doesn't
extremely
make sense for
callous.
Jane to replicate that violence because, as I said with Vriska, Jane
Mhm.
was never a character who went through conventional means of accruing power to ever make a statement about herself.
Mm-hmm.
Jane has way more to do. I'm pretty sure when I like back in the day class back to Tangled, I'm pretty sure I gave Rapunzel a made of life straight up, and it fucking
Yeah.
it wasn't that wasn't just because of of her literal resurrection and the fact that she embodies like healing. It's also because she has the same sort of shit going on. She's trapped in a tower of being told like you are special and you need to be kept safe until the day in which you can like. And for Jane, until the day in which you're allowed to use your power. For Rapunzel, until the day in which you like get smart enough to escape.
Yeah.
And both of them have this. Both of them have like a conniving mother figure, and like I think you're right, Momo. I think there is a big gaping hole in the middle of Homestuck where mother issues should be.
Yes.
Rose, because like Rose doesn't. Rose has it a little bit, and Rose and Roxy have a little bit, but they're the only people who are like sort of allowed to have mother issues because they're the ones who are interacting.
And I
with
don't think
their own
Homestuck
mothers.
actually figures out what that means. I think it looks
No.
at like girls have emotion about their moms, question mark, question mark, question mark. Androssi sits there with the Pikachu face and then goes outside.
Andrew, is there anything you'd like to tell us about your mother?
Please,
it's
if Andrew Hussey wants to come on
No,
to the
leave
show and
Wizarding
talk to
Herbert.
us about
That's
his
where all the
mom,
mother issues are.
we'll do. Yeah, no,
God.
it's in there too. So
He
It's
yeah,
just
also
that, like,
said, I want to
Jane
fuck
should-
Margaret Thatcher, but okay.
is Margaret Thatcher Hussey's mom in Wizardy Herbert? Is that what?
Yeah.
I don't like how confident you are, but you are right.
That's
But,
Like, I am so sorry to bring Margaret Thatcher in this chat. I am sorry that I keep bringing her up, but
Well-
it is so fucking dubious and suspicious that Hussey keeps sexualizing these hyper mean, super conservative women, and then Wizardy Herbert is just like Margaret Thatcher. And I'm like, oh no.
Oh no! Margaret
so-
Thatcher mommy kink. All right, I've got a new
Yeah, I was
name
gonna
for
say,
their voice text chat.
Cool, thank you.
Good.
Also, so like it's not just Jane who like should have some sort of mom issues. Like the Condess is there, and we see it sort of like Nana could sort of have a little bit of it because Nana was like stayed behind or whatever. But like it's not. It was kind of lazy to just say yeah, Jane copy paste clone stamp gets Dad Crocker, and like we're not gonna critically examine anything that's going on here. Like she has a relationship to the Condess in the sense that like Betty Crocker is like the Betty Crocker Corporation sort of looms over here, but there's a gigantic void where the Condess as the Condess is to Pfeffery or the Befferus Empress is to Mina. There's no maternal figure hanging over Jane other than this corporation, and like there's a lot of depth that you could pull out of that just isn't there in the comic.
Yeah.
Of the
Also, Dirk
moms
should have mommy
in
issues.
Homestuck, we have Spider Mom, we have Glib Glub, we've got her Imperious Condescension, which is fucking weird. A lot of racial baggage there, as Steph has said. That's fucked up.
Yeah, she's basically Aunt Jemima.
It's fucked up.
Wow.
It's
Ew.
fucked up. It's fucked up. We've got the
It's really
Lawns.
fucked up. It's extremely fucked up.
Go
You know what's also more fucked up? The fact that Hussey said the more fuckable older teenager version of herself was actually the redeemable one. That is so extremely fucked up.
Yeah. And then there's, I guess, Gamzee with the cherubs.
Oh
It's
no.
kind of
Yeah.
thing, because
Yeah.
Homestuck can't. Homestuck submits Gamzee to constant fucking gender horror from every possible direction because Gamzee doesn't have like a coherent understanding of their identity that the Homestuck will ever like acknowledge or understand or sympathize with.
Homestuck seems to want you to draw a parallel between the way Gamzee raised the cherubs and the way the Dolorosa raised the signless, and there's a lot going
There's
on
a
there.
lot going on
Yeah.
there. Cause Carcat is Caliborn. Carcat and
Yeah, that's baked in. That's also a pretty close parallel.
uh-huh.
Like they both revile green shipper girls also, and like disparage them, and they like constantly
Uh-huh.
make fun of the women around them,
Uh-huh.
and like want to like are
Want to be God,
scrabbling
Kark,
for a
like-
role with
Yes,
power
yes.
in the game,
Uh-huh.
but can't really like do anything.
submits
it.
everyone around them to like his validation or invalidation constantly, in a way that's horrible. And so when Terezi's writing like to herself, "You don't need him." Yeah, she's saying like she doesn't need Karkat, which is true because Karkat's like not a good person. That was what we were supposed to take away from that. Karkat's not a good person. Uh, Lord English Calibur's not a good fucking person either. Homestuck's not a good story. Like that's what it's right there. It's looking right at us.
The third access to good as in I like it and good as in well constructed. Good as in whether or not it wants you to morally agree with the characters.
Yeah, or itself. Homestuck is like, I'm the bad guy, and I'm like, please get out of my house. Please.
God.
Please.
So what we're
You know, on the
saying-
subject of like green girls, really, really quickly, it is so strange how Karkat basically latches on to Terezi and Kanaya
Yeah.
because characters who are more able to fit into the mold of that society and completely ostracizes Nepeta, who has been in canon stated to be neurodivergent and was also a black girl.
Ugh. So,
So,
sorry, Janai, you go first.
what we're ultimately saying is that Homestuck is the onceler.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Time prison, time prison, time prison, time prison, time prison.
Homestuck Hussy busting into my house singing How Bad Can I Be?
He's got the whole outfit. It's terrible.
Your time prison cannot hold me because I am right.
I hate it. It's true. Okay.
So someone in the YouTube
Mhm, mhm.
9-6 stream is asking what we think about our opinions on the parents in Hive Swap.
Oh, I don't
I've
know
never
if the
played
parents
Hive
have
Swap.
swap.
I don't have an
Okay.
opinion. I am so sorry.
I apparently have only played the first half. I thought I got to the end of the game, but I missed half of the game, so like all of it. So I think I'm probably gonna stream it at some point. But like, oops. I know a bit about it because like we know that Jake has more kids and with an unknown woman. And then I'm sort of paraphrasing what Void is saying in chat. And then like a teenage beta Roxy is taking care of Jude and Joey at some point. The woman who will go on to be Mom Lalonde.
Hmm,
And that's
Yeah.
kind of all we get.
it's,
Jake is a neglectful and shitty parent.
Yeah.
So
Oh.
the narrative continues to shit on Jake because that's just what we're doing.
It's just what we're
Yeah.
doing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's just what we do.
Hussy
We go
hates that
ahead
guy.
and shit on another victim of imperialistic violence.
Yeah.
Except he's a rich kid, so he's an acceptable target. Except it completely goes over the fact that he doesn't have any autonomy as a rich kid and is completely trapped in his system and will be stuck there because not only is he psychologically trapped, but he is also trapped by the people who expect him to be there. Wink nut, Jake English terrible.
Yeah, because Beta Jake Beta Jake explicitly runs away from his entire family, and yes, he does end up in charge of another company, but like we do have to assume that he starts from like not a lot, right?
Mhm,
Because he runs away on a dog when he's a child.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know if he was a child, but he was like young, and like
That looked
The-
baby mode. It seemed baby.
yeah, it's Homestuck doesn't. That's why I don't really buy that Andrew Hussey has like converted to this powerful leftist because like nothing about the way that later Homestuck plays out tracks with that,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that guy is just sitting on a throne of performatism, and everyone is just eating it up because the fandom is just filled with
yeah,
white neoliberals or something.
I also didn't
If
need
I
that
had
sort
to-
of.
Liberal as fuck.
I
So-
didn't need that sort of personal information about Andrew Hussey either. I was perfectly fine with him being a cryptid. I was surprised when he came back and he was like, "Lol, fucking Toblerones. Like, I'm gonna answer this shit." And
Well,
I'm
you
gonna-
gotta look at like what does he actually say, and he opts not to say anything, which is fine. I guess if that's what he wants to do. And the photo ops where he's holding Mal, or he's like with the trans flag and stuff, that he hasn't actually said anything with his mouth. So you gotta acknowledge that and be realistic and say, no, okay, these are just photo ops. They're just performance because we don't actually know what his position is because he hasn't really actually taken one. If you look at that, he's done it by proxy through people he lets be around him, but then those people take all the fucking heat. And then they end up leaving the project for, I think, because they're fundamentally being disrespected and used to make the project in that way. So
Yeah, they're puppets.
Mhm.
Dude, they've been puppets the entire time.
Like if
I'm
you
very
wanna,
sympathetic to that.
June's whole deal as far as like Homestuck 2's timeline would be portraying later in life transition. I mean, John isn't even
Mhm.
middle aged at this point yet, but he's getting there. And like, I think that would be interesting as someone who came out very well, relatively late in my 30s. Um, that would be interesting to see. The problem is, Hussy's response to the Toblerone was like essentially paraphrased like "it will be done" or like "it is so."
Mhm.
It wasn't even some specific thing. It was like this vague ass like "yeah sure whatever" guy, and it was like okay, that's cool, I guess, but it means nothing because the comic doesn't just depict any of it. And like, if you really wanted to make that a plot point, like maybe like get some trans people that were a little bit older when they transitioned and like have them at least provide some feedback of like maybe how you could move the story into like incorporating that. Also, maybe like have a story that could incorporate like characters' personal development instead of whatever the fuck is happening
I
right
think
now.
it sounds like that was their full intention. They had those
Whatever the
people.
fuck is happening?
They had those
Right,
people
like,
that matched those descriptions, but like
yeah,
they're if you don't actually
right,
make sure your environment is conductive and insulative to those people, and you don't. And
right.
I'm making a lot of unfair assumptions, and I'm being very, very hard on Wet Pumpkin right now for things I don't actually
Well,
know what
you
happened.
should.
But yeah,
You should. But I hate to like be that guy, but Husky has given us no indication that he is a trustworthy entity in all of this. In fact, all of his actions and every single thing I've seen come out of the guy is very much the opposite of a well-intentioned person. So I think you are right to be very critical and skeptical of whatever this guy is
right.
doing.
It's just
I
it's,
just
Yeah.
it's perspective I have that the environment
And I
was
don't
not.
get the
Yeah,
impression that any of us here are blaming the people who have been thrown
absolutely
under the
not.
bus for
Absolutely
any of
not.
it.
Yeah.
Because I just want it to be very clear that all of us are very sympathetic to the people who Husky has been constantly fucking over. But that might not be too obvious by the way we're talking. So, if you're a person and you were screwed over by Hussy, you have our deepest and sincerest condolences. Feel free to reach out. We will probably give you a
Yeah,
number.
I'll give people ears.
If you were victimized by Andrew Hussey,
All the number at the bottom
You
of your
may be
screen.
entitled to legal compensation.
You may be entitled to have people
Maybe
listen
entitled
to
to
you.
financial compensation.
Uh, um, and it could just be like a little bit of incompetence or mistakes or whatever. It's not important to what I'm saying.
I think it's a lot of things.
It could be a lot of things.
Yeah.
Ultimately, that's not important to what I'm saying, though. I just want to make that clear that it's like, it's still true, even if magically all these people are extremely well intentioned and good and have done nothing
Oh,
wrong
yeah.
in their lives. What's still happening is that this environment is not safe for people to work in, and you can't keep putting that on the fandom entirely because you are empowered when you are in control of their working environment, what that's going to be. And so you have to take some accountability, and that doesn't look like what apparently it's thought that should look like. And I'm saying that as a
also-
big fucking asshole who's never going to try and get any responsibility for the situation myself because I don't want that to be my job because like no.
Look, Momo, this is not your fault. None of this has been your fault.
Yeah.
And I don't think anyone here or anyone in fandom or anyone in staff of general should be trying to hold themselves accountable for anything Andrew Hussey has done, said, and will do in the future. Ultimately, it really is up to fandom to be able to healthily differentiate and separate the
Yes.
performative professional nature of Homestuck from the actual workers who are going to be utilized as puppets because that has been a recurring trend through all of this. Hussey just creating all of these puppet figures to be attacked for criticism or whatever because he doesn't want to take personal accountability himself.
Yep. That being said,
Um,
Hussy, if you want to come on and talk to us about your mom issues, we're here for you. We're here for you.
No, no, I am no, Momo, shut up. We're gonna shut up right now. We are not giving that man a single penny or anything more of our time. I am not gonna come on this fucking chat one day. See Andrew Hussey in the chat room. I would actually come over to your house and fucking wrestle you until you are dead.
I would deserve it. You can physically murder me in real life if that happens. I promise. It's on record now, so now they can play this at your court appearance and you'll be absolved because that's how crime works.
Yeah, when Andrew Hussey inevitably comes into the Act 8 server.
Yes, inevitably. Yeah.
Just a sec. Momo would have to invite him, right? You already took down
I
the public
would.
links.
Well, I'm gonna take down the public links. He has until 2 p.m. today, which he won't because that would be a terrible fucking idea, and also no one should watch this stream. Okay, they should, but
Dude, no one of importance watches this stream. I think we're fine.
we're fine. We're fine. We're okay.
Andrew Hussey, if you want to DM me about your mommy issues, my rate is $6 million an hour, minimum 1 hour billable, and I can block you immediately.
Oh. Yeah, well, yep. If he didn't want me to be like this, then he should have made different choices. That's all I can say. Where is everything? Why? My layer convention naming system always works out for me. I'm fine. Me now screaming.
Also,
Yeah,
The funny thing is that Hussey isn't even in the host of 2 credits anymore at all, but he isn't in the past directors list.
Yeah, we laughed at that. We're very mean, but I like it. That song on the Homestuck 2 album, before he dropped out, going like, "Oh, this song's very obviously a bad idea. You shouldn't do that." And well, yeah. Don't sing a
Yes,
song about your apprehension of coming back to this project. Maybe
I put on a
things are
voice
gonna
and
go
I
that bad.
basically made fun of it. I shat all over that thing. And
It's
it's on public record.
Yeah, which someone's gotta point at Homestuck because Homestuck gets a lot of criticism that has nothing to do with what's wrong with it, and a lot of praise ignoring what's wrong with it. So, I guess. Yeah.
There are probably more constructive ways to like point out how terrible of a job Homestuck 2 is, doing. But I guess as a fun little ha ha ha, fuck you, Homestuck, I'm going to come into your house and break all your kneecaps. I guess that can exist.
I mean, I feel like there was my feeling about Homestuck 2 is that it feels just like a fan adventure. I don't super care
I can kind of respect and enjoy like the fan venture ish, because then it's just part of the larger conversation of what are different readership ideas and the receptions and what does that tell us about this environment and the story.
Primary problem, in addition to like all of the internal stuff about some of the things I've heard about like how writers are treated and things like that, and just like how it's being handled in general, which I think as the official comic that has the official blessing is like really not great. But like the main thing that bugs me about it is like the way it's like, oh well, this is the official one, so it's got more weight to it, and then like if you don't like it, you're stupid attitude that pops up with some people in the fandom, or like and like I don't care about it. I don't want
There's
to engage with
that
it.
discourse of
Yeah, like I was on the fence, and then that one up dropped, and I was just like, okay, you know what? That's it for me. I'm out. Like this hurt. This felt too weirdly personal to me, and like I don't want to engage with it anymore. Like I'm not gonna put myself on the.
I would also recommend not continuing because I'm just keeping up with it to see what it is trying to say and how it is trying to further the conversation. And it hasn't had anything good to say at all. So your disengagement from this project is extremely healthy.
I've got one eye on it in the sense of like I like to know what's happening in my fandom, and like so if there's an update, I kind of
right.
Like,
if something happens in Homestuck 2, it's going to influence how I have to interact with all the spaces where I exist and I post my fan work and things like that. So in
Like,
that
I'm
sense, it's unavoidable that I pay attention to that. I can ignore it all I like, but I have to share the space with it. That's mandatory. When they're saying things endorsed by like the brand, the localized, centralized, quote unquote, Homestuck, I have to contend with everything they do. They know
by way
that.
By way of
Um,
contrast, like I don't follow Vast Error at all. I started to try to read it, didn't find it super engaging, and just stopped. But like the Vast Error fandom is so separate from the main Homestuck fandom that it's completely like a different thing. Like you can
Okay,
be in
here's
Homestuck
another hot
and
take
never
about
read
Vast Error to
Vast Error.
have. I know people are like calling it Cyto canon or an official canonization, but I don't think that's a very healthy or correct
It's
perspective to
not.
have.
mhm.
The Homestuck team may have given Vast Error their blessing, but I don't think we should contextualize that as Homestuck having a very positive or good relationship with Vast Error. I think Vast Error should be allowed to exist as a story separate from Homestuck, and the team is simply on good terms with the Homestuck team.
That's how
We
I
need to
always.
be able to like healthily differentiate these two identities without, too much interconnection, because I feel that Homestuck will at one point, or if it has not, take advantage of this relationship in rather dubious and or seedy ways, and we should like be able to have an objective perspective on whatever happens
Mhm.
between these two communities and these two properties without being like, oh, they deserved it because they were getting official recognition. I just don't think that's a good perspective.
I completely agree with that.
Yeah.
I completely respect Austin's creative autonomy that were always his intentions. I know that because I worked with him. And he's got very admirable intentions for his work, and he doesn't. He's not the kind of guy to correct people when they make the wrong assumption about that, but because he just wants to focus on what he's doing. So yeah, I think that's. I'm really glad you said that.
Yeah, I'm just like healthily concerned about this
Yeah.
because you know how Homestuck is.
I know
Like
how it
Andrew
is.
Hesse is a very like manipulative 5D chess playing with everyone sort of guy, and I know exactly what exactly this sort of like
The
intention
emails.
or malintention specifically does. And I don't think it's a healthy attitude to foster that Vast Error is like quote unquote better or anything else when all it did as a story was try to exist. Like
Mhm.
that's a
Mhm.
very unhealthy sentiment, and Austin and his team should not get any flack for just, speaking with the Homestuck
Yeah,
people.
Vaster gets burdened with a lot of like just generalized homesick badges that is very baggage that is very unfair.
There is to be fair, I don't think that there's that like there's definitely that sort of like overlap of assumptions about Homestuck and Vaster are connected, but in a lot of ways they are very separate fandoms. Like
Yeah.
I'm pretty plugged into the Homestuck fandom, and shit'll happen with Vaster, and it's like, wait, what are we talking about? So like I'm kind of like aware of it because I know people that I know people that know people in the Vastera fandom, but like I don't have any direct connection to it at all, and I don't really know anyone that super does either. So yeah, like whatever. It's kind of its own thing in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
I need to catch up with Vaster. I'm a bad webcomics grandma.
You can take your time. It's
I
being
do.
on this it's like more or less on this hiatus. Like it's been taking long pauses because of the team's engagement with other projects. That there is something you can very casually get into and just take your fucking time because it should have, I think it should have more explicit content warnings because some of the subject matter it talks about, especially during the intermission stuff, gets kind of dubious. Some on the, it's kind of not like bad, like dubious, but just like obviously aimed at older audiences sort of stuff. And I do think that younger audiences should take a lot of precaution getting into the webcomic because it is obvious from where Vast Error is right now that it is going to talk about more serious subject matter and the light that may not be safe for younger audience members to engage with.
Yeah, it's good to go into things with that kind of awareness because if you kind of make that if you accept that, okay, this thing is for people at a certain stage of their lives, and you have to approach it with a certain amount of faculties, then yeah, that's it's important to be able to make that distinction.
Right.
And it's hard to communicate exactly that because you don't always, especially if you're a younger writer or a less experienced person, you don't always know what those points of maturity are because you haven't actually gotten to them yourself. You're still talking about the process you're going through while you're going through it. And I think it's important to acknowledge that Austin and Heather started this project extremely young, and they're still extremely young people for what their responsibilities are now.
Yeah.
So I respect them very much. And
Yeah,
I'm
I
trying to
can-
advocate for them the way I can. I think you're absolutely right, though. You are 100% correct. So
Yeah, like I'll give you guys like a little example right now, just as proof that this content can be actually ideologically harmful to people who are not in the knows of certain cultural convention, but to always treat this kind of subject matter with respect. Like it was revealed in one of the updates that Taz was raised in a cult environment, and it is very obvious that she was raised to be a child soldier-esque type of character. And with that sort of knowledge in mind, considering how someone in the Homestead fandom typically would treat, a purple blood given Gamzee's reception, it's always important to be aware of the cultural context that art does not exist in a vacuum, and Taz's representation of a very, very serious problem in our society about children and their indoctrination in religious abuse and violence. And that's not subject matter that you can just talk about like Karkat, I don't know, stepping on a rubber duck. Like you have to have certain sensibilities coming into this, and you have to have certain sensibilities whenever you're engaging with other people talking about this. I'm glad that Bastera is having these conversations, but more precautions should be taken about the subject matter to ensure that respectful and how do you say I was saying it before, but I get on these long tangents and I forget the words. Respectful and productive results can come out of it. You should use this as a teaching time to be all like, these situations are real and they do not exist purely within a fantastical setting. These are presentations of very small, hyper-specific situations that a lot of people outside of these cultures would not know about. And you have to be extremely sensitive about portrayals of that violence. You don't want to end up, saying that Taz is the bad guy in the situation. She's not. Like, the team makes it very clear that Taz is not the bad guy, but if you're hussy, you are an artist who will very easily come to some sort of misintended statement that characters like that are the bad guy.
Yeah. Oh, Taz good. I love my big
Taz
clown. I
good.
love my big clown.
She
Daughter.
is handled very respectfully, and I really, really appreciate that.
Yeah.
That is very appreciated from me.
She's a very enjoyable character. And it's nice to have a clown that gets treated good. So, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm actually really glad that she's allowed to be like not like she's like the narrative is all like her friends like yeah she's not a very nice person, but the narrative is just very she is allowed to act this way and people might not like her for it, but you shouldn't blame her for being in such schisms with the people around her because she is allowed to have that sort of
If you read all of her logs in the beginning, she's always making incredibly reasonable demands of the people around her. Incredibly reasonable. And then she just keeps getting this stupid brick wall by everyone fucking around, and she's so tired of it because she has to end up taking responsibility for everything in her entire existence. She's not had a single meaningful advocate, and the one time she almost did, she deliberately pushed that person away to protect them. And it's like, oh, Taz! I love her! Sorry, I get emotional. Yeah. Austin's guy really, really, really cares genuinely about his characters in his story.
But yeah, you can tell that this is like a better and more meaningful furtherization of the Gamzee conversation than
Mhm.
anything Homestuck 2 and the epilogues did.
Yeah. Yeah. One of these days, I'll convert him to proper clown apologism.
God.
Nice.
I'm doing it slowly. This is a joke. I'm not a nefarious, indoctrination-y person. I'm just
I
like
am.
you are. Thank you.
No apologies.
No apologies. Hi, Riff. Hi, Riff. How are you this morning?
I was raised evangelical for a reason. I'm fine. I just got back from church, actually. So.
Oh, welcome back.
Oh, welcome back from church.
How was
I've
church?
converted religions, but not behavior.
And
Yeah.
all of our atheists.
Uh-huh.
Clown church
Yep.
time.
Clown church time. It's Sunday. Oh my god! I just realized these are on Sunday morning. It is clown church.
Yes, they are.
It is clown church time.
Clown church
It
time.
is.
I
That's why I've
completely.
been absent for a lot of them.
I'm sorry. I totally forgot. How did I forget? Because I was raised Protestant. We went like.
I am a victim of a religious hate crime.
I am.
As
I am.
Protestants are.
Yeah, I'm being very, very, what am I? Because if I'm alt Calliope, then I guess I'm also Satan. So, it's me.
Yes, alt Calliope is Satan.
Alt Calliope is
Okay,
Satan.
people in the Vast Terror fandom act way differently, and it's interesting. Did you ever listen to Arm Retrieval podcast where a bunch of teens started to read Homestuck and get more and more jaded as they read through Act 6?
No.
Like the Alpha kids being 16, so Andrew can fell guilt-free about fans drawing risky art of them.
You
Guilt-
should still not be guilt free at that point. You should still be very guilty. 16 is still not. Don't do that.
Yeah.
No, I didn't, but that sounds kind of interesting to watch teens in real time, just watch their spirit die. Over the course of a year. Sure.
I mean,
I was actually on Twitter one time, and someone was talking about reading Candy. Someone was talking about doing a live read party of Candy.
Oh, no.
No, not talking about doing, but they were talking about having been in a live read party of Candy, and then someone got to the Dirk suicide thing.
Oh.
And apparently someone started breaking down in
Oh,
tears and
no.
crying and stuff when they got to that part. And they were all, the conclusion that person came to, I don't really remember it, but it was a very middle of the road decision. I wanted to go in and be all like, I wanted to say something like along the lines of, hey, that person was extremely valid for feeling that way. And the violence that Homestuck does present to us is very manufactured for these sorts of results. It is not anyone's fault for having a crying or breaking down. I actually think that is the most human and most realistic response that someone could have to a graphic depiction of suicide.
Yeah.
But I'm such like a fucking shut-in that I didn't say anything, and I wish I had, because it probably, but it's just like you can't really measure how people will react to that sort of thing. And I don't know if it was really my place to be that guy.
Yeah, sometimes you gotta make that call. Am I gonna make a risk and say something, and perhaps maybe have people respond badly, even if, because maybe it's not something they want to hear, or I'm gonna be opposing, but yeah.
If you're listening and you were that person who had the breakdown about the Dirk suicide thing, then I want to tell you that you are extremely valid for having that reaction, and that I love you, okay? I love you, guy.
Aww.
I love you for being human and having those human emotions. And I love you for being humanly invested in this product. And I hope you can one day do the same thing for yourself and your relationship with Andrew Hussey's rhetoric and material, because it would be the healthiest way to hold him accountable for doing that to you. And it wasn't fair of him to do that.
That's true. That's I think the best kind of response to have, because it does so much conditioning to try and numb that out of you. Like, it thinks you shouldn't have this reaction, but we shouldn't get desensitized by candy.
Yeah, well, I was
Absolutely not.
I was rereading the scene like a couple months ago because I wanted to like I had a ficlet thing that I just needed to get out of my system. And I was reading it for some context and I was realizing like this is genuinely like I'm not a person who typically gets like genuinely triggered by this kind of stuff, but it was still extremely hard to read. And within the context of Candy, it's just like any empathy that you might be feeling in that moment just kind of tends to get thrown back in your face because it's like everything around it is so absurd that by context it becomes itself absurd despite
it's
being
trying to make you like doubt or disrespect your own feelings in a lot of way. And as Gamzee readers, we know what that's like because that very much weaponized, like kept weaponizing your empathy with this child, with this like constantly tempting you that maybe someday like the punch like the other shoe will finally drop. It set us up to fail. Because what happens with Dave, right? We see the first thing where Dave's getting the shit beaten out of him, and it's like, haha, this is a funny joke. Then it's later like, no, this was actually incredibly serious. This was a child. To do this is bad, and it has consequences on this person's development and their existence. And you should have empathized, or like it's important to empathize with things that maybe initially we try and play them off. You got to look actually deeper into them and see how they've affected you. And empathize with yourself and, advocate for yourself, right? But then we have the fucking elevator stuck, Gamzee getting shot, and that's a joke and it remains a joke forever. And that's another
Even though
child.
it's not funny and
It's
is
not
a replication of very real, very still with us violence, and Andrew Hussey did not hold himself accountable, responsible, or anything for literally replicating real life violence, putting it in his comic, and playing it off as a joke.
That's terrible.
I think my thing with it is like we weren't gonna get empathy. Like I knew that going in, but it's like there is a way to satirize Gamzee fans that's actually funny, and that's my thing. It's like you're not going to do anything with this. I know you're not. You could at least make it funny. Like it's not hard to.
You're allowed to make fun of me. I'm very funny. I'm an incredibly funny, like, example of a person. My behavior is totally irrational.
If you want to take the Gamzee reader approach to my webcomic, I think you will find that I am making fun of myself all the time.
It's like, because like there is a way, like if you wanted to do like the absurdism of caring about Gamzee, what he needed to be was entirely unpresent because that's how it feels.
Yeah.
Like you're forced to work with like little tidbits of what's happening.
Everybody talks about Gamzee, but he's literally
He's
never
just not there. He's just not there.
At a certain point,
One
he
of
just
the first
stops being allowed to
observations
talk.
One of the first observations I had about his character post Act 5 was that he just stopped saying things.
He's not allowed to speak anymore.
Here's the thing that I just off the top of my head, like if you really wanted to satirize that particular element in this like absurdist world where everyone acts like a fucking cartoon character, all of the stuff about Gamzee that's in the actual epilogues should be rumors about him that are never confirmed and are contrasted with other stories that are just like, oh no, he's just like a chill dude. And everyone is just like, no, that's absurd. That can't be real. But it's like, I swear, I heard it.
I want Gamzee to be a creepypasta in the Candy timeline.
Right.
Yeah, I
Reddit
agree.
thread dedicated to Gamzee
Milk.
series.
Gamzee in Candy, like anytime he senses the narrative trying to depict him or approach him, he just fucking runs away.
With me.
It's like, I gotta go. Like, why? Like, I gotta go real quick. I can't explain it. Bye.
I got a bad.
You know, it is funny how like political Gamzee is in like fucking the epilogues. It doesn't really make sense. I mean, it might make sense if you consider like the like his conditioning as a character if he went through with the subjugulators and stuff. But if you completely divorce it from everything else in the fucking comic, Gamzee being political in Candy makes absolutely no sense. It's the most batshit insane thing I've ever fucking read.
It's done for a joke. It's done for.
It was so insane.
It's just it's like it's supposed to be funny that the very idea that this guy could be politically illiterate about his own situation or other people's situation for you know why. So, because the only person who can ever solve a problem is Vriska. Everyone else
Right.
around, everyone that
Right.
exists and everywhere she goes has to be so fucking incompetent that she's the only option. Which isn't fair to her, but it's what.
Jesus Christ, have you realized that that narrative has not allowed her to grow up past 16?
It really hasn't.
It literally reset her character growth. Like I know that Retcon Vriska is then going to continue as a character and like led the Ghost Army or whatever bullshit. But like also, she really hasn't done any of the growing internally stuff.
It's like she's reaping narrative rewards that were meant for somebody who is much like the relationship she has with other characters are relationships pre-retcon Vriska could have had.
Right.
Post-retcon, I don't understand why they're just okay. Like, you did kill Pavros, but I guess
Yeah.
we're all okay with that.
We shouldn't
No,
be.
I am not over that.
I'm not
Vriska,
okay with
you
it.
have to do some serious explanation for that. Why did you do that? Okay.
And
Well,
they're like,
Terezi's
"Ah,
gotta go to the. Okay, so after Resolve, a little bit of spoilers, Terezi's gonna wake up in the dream bubbles, and she's not gonna wake herself back up right away because she's not ready to face, the reality of what just happened. It's, like, so devastating. But guess who she does have to face? Heradia. And Solix. Guess what they have to say about it. So, yeah.
Well,
Because
it's
those.
also just like,
Yeah.
I'm so. There's a moment after John appears, like, punches Vriska, and then vanishes during the retcon. Like, I'm really curious what the 30 seconds after that actually looked like. Like, was Terezi just like, well, I did come up here to wreak justice, but I guess I'm just gonna let that go now. Anyways.
Oh wait, I could have stopped Vriska by not killing her. I didn't realize that there are ways to restrain people from doing things that weren't
And
killing.
while she's got Gamzee fucking tied up, and that's gross too.
Yeah.
And like when Vriska woke up, was she like, yeah, I don't know what I was thinking with that whole Jack Noir
Right.
thing. I'm gonna drop that forever.
Oh,
Man, remember how Vriska solved problems by not relying on the archaic, outdated societal conventions that existed, and she hated them and didn't like using them?
I feel a weird way about the fact that what snapped Vriska out of her whole thing was a dude showing up and punching her
I don't like that.
Yeah.
and
She-
just like fucking off.
She shouldn't be, like, violenced out of this. This is not what she
Right,
needs, in my
not-
opinion.
It's not even like compelled, like, it's not even violence that she can connect to her behavior.
Yeah, it's
Like,
just so stupid. Like, she has this conversation with John on the laptop. That's very kind of, like, beautiful conversation, and then that is the person from her perspective that comes out and decks her in the face, and maybe it's like, oh shit, maybe that is like, okay, that would be, if anything, what kind of starts recontextualizing it for her. But if she was making that acknowledgement, she would be a much more humbled person.
I'm gonna say if the retcon thing had been the retcon, I kind of so as a total archival reader who read all of Homestuck in 2 months, the retcon actually was kind of neat when you're an archival reader. Like you see hints that it's gonna happen because you see those question mark pages,
Oh,
and then like
yeah.
it all ties back together in like, oh, that's cool. Like that's
Well,
kind of a neat concept, but.
Serial
so-
readers did not have that.
Serial readers didn't have that. Also, like some of the stuff is just like you could have expanded on that. Like I think that the whole thing with like Vriska and Terezi and John/June with Egbert, it's like I think you could have done something very, very interesting and very emotional that connected those three characters by having him like say, I don't know, talk to Terezi and like tell her something, like say something vague to her because he's trying not to like fuck things up too much, but something that makes her think twice about her insistence that she has to kill Vriska and there's no other way.
She never got
Because,
to
like,
make that choice for herself.
Right, like she's so fixated on seeing one path through things. Like she can see a path through, but it's always that one way. And it's like, I've got to do that. There's no other way to do it. I've got to kill her. That's the only way to fix this. And it's like, it's not though.
It's not,
like,
though.
Especially because they have this relationship that's so like supposed to be so deep and so intimate. And it's like, there are a lot of ways you could have gone with that. That would have, first of all, recontextualize the idea that violence is the only way to fix things, and also expanded on Verska and Terezi's relationship in a lot of potentially interesting ways. Like, there's a lot you could have done, and like,
They
You know,
just scored
John,
shit.
you said Vriska and Terezi's relationship, and I remember that thing that happened a little while ago, and my eyes just shoot into the back of my head so far. I'm sorry.
Because what Scourge just need, they just need like meaningful advocates who are gonna take like their problems seriously.
right.
But they don't really have that because Karkat whitewashes everything about Terezi into this like
Yeah,
scrubbed clean thing
actually,
he can idolize and
I think if I were writing Homestuck, like just writing Homestuck as it, like with the basic plot beats that it had, but like not all of the weird shit. I think that I would use that as a moment, because I think Terezi as a character needs to understand that violence isn't a good solution to a lot of problems, and I think that would be the moment where she would start to fully question that. Like the retcon timeline would be her like wake up moment of like, oh shit, there's other ways for me to solve things. And have that be a consistent through line where she doesn't kill Vriska, she finds some other way to like convince her to not go and do that. Probably leaning into the fact that they like care about each other, because like the conversation they have before Vriska kills, or Trezzy kills Vriska, is like a fucking anime conversation. It's like, aha, you can't stop me. Aha, this is what I have to do. Like, and then fucking dead. Like, there's no actual talking about like how they care about each other. It's just like, no, this is
yeah,
what
because
I
that
must
point Terezi had
do.
totally shut off her emotions from Vriska for like the third or
Right,
fourth time because every time she tries to open up and do that, Vriska fucks her over.
right,
And that was like serious, and you'd have to like Terezi is contending with those feelings in Act 8 because that's what she deserved to get to do this whole
right.
time, and
I think
she was never afforded that.
I think that in writing the comic would have been a moment for Egbert, with the virtue of having been through some more stuff, to be able to go back and have a conversation or say something to Terezi that gets her to think about this, and have that be the moment where she's finally able to say, you know what, I'm not going to take the approach of shutting myself off. Like, I'm actually going to be open to this. I'm not going to be like, oh well, I tried, fuck it. And then she and Briska have all that time when they're on the Meteor where they're implied to have like, been in a relationship and like talk with each other or
They've
whatever.
worked it out. I 100% do not believe that because if they did, they would have had to address their issues to the point where Vriska and Terezi would no longer be behaving in this
But
way.
like,
So
fucking
that's why
showed
Act
that.
8, yeah, that's why Act 8 has them have that scene at
Right.
Lotek.
Also,
Like, they have to deal with it.
I wouldn't have done the retcon thing as like the Vriskagram, which was cute, but like
Fucked up. Hated it.
it just skips through so much character stuff. I would have made that the opportunity to have another.
No, if you really look at Vriskagram, it's fucking gross. It's really awful to everybody involved.
Yeah.
It's irresponsible.
Don't you know how to get people to stop drinking? You just like slap the
Everyone gets treated fucking horribly, including like this is not good for Vriska or Terezi either.
Hey kids, you want your fucking dad to stop drinking so that he'll finally love you? Just go up to him, just have a fucking chair, beat the shit out of him. That'll get him to stop drinking.
solves all your problems.
I just
But anyway, I would pick that moment to have Terezi fundamentally start to change the character. Where she
Vriska,
actually gets to not being violent anymore.
yeah.
Like, Terezi is no longer like doing the whole,
Vriska,
like,
descendant of Mindfang, should not do a fucking slavery for girl power, okay?
No,
Just
absolutely
no.
not.
I also
Stop that.
I just think like again, nothing has changed. Like
Yeah.
about their Act 5 attitudes towards her. Like that's
Right.
when you go through the flashes, like nobody wants to listen to Vriska. Like nobody is paying attention to her because they're all like, "You have screwed us over so many times. We are
Right.
not interested in what you have to say." And like, why did that suddenly change because she got decked by a
Yeah,
random
and if
guy?
you look at it, it
Why
kind
did
of
her, like,
didn't. Like, people are still kind of tired of her. I mean, they give her, like, these hollow, weird praises that don't make sense coming out of the mouths of these characters because what has happened to cause them to change their feelings? So, really, you have to assume they
And
still
yet,
feel
like,
that way based on how they're
and
behaving.
yet she like she solves Rose's drinking problem. She fixes Rose, quote unquote, fixes Rosemary.
I just can't believe any of that because it's not true. Like
There-
we just don't
Man,
see what
Fritzka
happened. Yeah.
Fixing Rosemary is possibly the worst thing that's come out of that comic.
I really want like that. Like I said, that would have been a perfect opportunity to do an intermission that mixes in like what's actually happening, like going into the characters, like relationships, and like as it like every few pages, like I don't know, touches on something else because you got to keep that exciting. It's like characters aren't exciting, got to have action. Like okay, if you're gonna do that, like have some other like stuff dropped in periodically. But like I think you could have actually had some really meaningful character dialogue, which is something that Homestuck honestly lacks, despite its massive volume of dialogue. A lot of the dialogue feels very like not emotional. Like it feels like you're either doing plot shit or you're telling wacky jokes or you're just saying shit. And it's like there are so many times where it feels like the emotional payoff for a situation just kind of isn't there.
Yeah.
And I don't like that. Like I would have loved to see more of that. And like that would have been a great opportunity to change the direction of several characters by actually showing that change.
Yeah.
It's like,
Other
what
than
was
to get the attention and everything's good.
Yeah.
It's like,
Mhm.
what was Kanaya's thought process in that whole thing? It's like, well, you did break my heart, and I did get a front row seat for pretty much everything you did to Tavros, but I guess I'll let you fix things with my girlfriend.
Right.
God.
Like yeah,
Okay, let me read off some of these chat messages just so so people can feel like they're involved without being in the Actate chat room, especially as somebody who loves and relates to Dirk so much. Yeah, like I really wish Dirk fans were angrier at the epilogue because it is very disrespectful to them and their experiences. Gamzee is literally there as comic relief. It feels so weird. Yes, I also agree. Creepy Pasta Gamzee, DFKHSRLKJGHFSLDH.
Thank you.
He
Thank you for
appears in your
that.
Pokemon Diamond tape with a milk bottle and his eyes are bleeding.
Oh, God.
Yes.
Oh, God. It's a nightmare.
This is in regards to the Vriska and Terezi stuff. Their parallel relationship feels very fake. Laugh my ass off.
It does. Yeah, I think that there's a lot of like
People want a
there's
little
lot
spoiler.
there's a lot of stuff that's not ever really dealt with, and then like the idea that because I went into the epilogues thinking, oh, I'll finally get these characters will finally get some kind of like development and resolution, especially when I saw it was prose form.
Well, development did happen.
I mean,
Sort of.
development in the technical sense that things changed. Yes, development happened.
See, this is what we're gonna do. First, Andrew has to destroy the laptop, and Scourge is gonna. Actate is so much about Scourge. Like, they gotta deal with the ramifications of their decisions and their actions in the relationship. If they really care about each other, they have to be responsible to each other meaningfully. And oops, what's that just happened? Anyway. So,
Okay, Momo, you can't say Actate is Gamzee, and then you can't say it's Scourge too. It has to be one or the other.
Okay, it's
Gets out
Gamzee.
my
I
gun.
picked
You have
Gamzee.
to choose.
I pick Gamzee.
Gamzee was the third
Gamzee
Scourge
Gamzee needs me
there.
more. No,
There's a
no,
lot
not.
There's a lot of ways that you can take the Scourge relationship, and like if you want to take it in a they're still together way, like it kind of there's a lot of baggage you have to deal with. The other way that you can take it is for them to actually like not be together and for that to be like resolved in some way, like for Terezi to understand like, oh, I guess this is okay, like I don't need this obsession. Because I took, when I was writing Ways of Being, I took the approach that Terezi was using that relationship she had with Vriska as a way to avoid dealing with a lot of things she didn't want to think about from her
Yeah,
past.
I remember we had that conversation about that.
Yeah,
Very
and, like,
much what
that-
happened.
And the resolution there is Vriska isn't coming back, but she can still continue to live as a person. Like that's okay. Like the final scene has her like staying over at Jane's place, and like it's this very like banal sort of like mundane scene that happens, but it's like the essential point is that yeah, like you can still keep living. Like this doesn't have to define the end of your existence.
If I can actually put that leg there.
Yeah.
Ask
Oh, no,
this
I can actually-
Twitter get their sad images of Terezi pining endlessly.
Well,
Where do they get it?
Right.
Tiny Jake, look at him.
Tiny
Yes, that is
Jake.
a very tiny Jake.
Tiny
I also
Jake.
have to say, Homestuck is not kind to Jake either.
Homestuck is
I just
not
make a
kind
bunch
to
of
Jake.
jokes at Jake's expense because I actually just like joking about these characters a lot.
Mhm.
It helps with the pain.
It helps with the pain.
It does.
You laugh or you'll cry.
The Homestuck pains.
So yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Homestuck fucking side cramps. I'm gonna wake up in my 30s. I'm gonna have back pains and be like, damn you, Dirk Strider.
Damn you, Dirk Strider. Poor Dirk.
Okay.
Dirk, yeah.
First of all, how do you think your body changes when
It's like
Okay,
those
here's what-
meme videos of the Soviet cars where you open the door and everything falls apart. That is, yeah, that's from what I've been led to believe.
you do realize that you don't just deteriorate,
I
right?
think you dissolve like the Thanos snaps you. I think
know,
Thanos.
I
I think I think Thanos snaps you and you die. I think that's how it goes.
Thanos stabs me and I'm just dust.
Yeah.
Kanaya, please come in here and chastise me about my scientific ignorance.
I unironically love seeing like teenagers being like, "Wow, and I'm 30 and I have like all these pains and aches and everything." It's like, ha!
Huh. Yeah.
You're actually like, it's not that bad to be.
Yeah,
like,
I
you
have
live
a
a long-
chronic
rough,
pain every
that's
year and then it's not that bad.
Yeah.
You live a long time. Like
Yeah.
you're be in your look at fucking people that are in their like 60s and they're still like fucking. How old is?
Yeah. And
God,
you
someone
can keep
recently
doing
I was
things.
Like, holy shit, they're that old.
Okay, that's a bad drawing, but we're gonna keep it. That's how that is now. That's what art is.
That's what.
That's not bad.
I like it.
Thank you.
Fancy circle.
Oh,
Do
Gamzee
I have
circle.
any bad drawings?
Wow.
Here, hang on. Let me
Wow.
see if I have any fucking bad drawings from the Halcyon folder. Ooh, yeah, that's right. You're getting hot developmental content.
We
in this
are.
chat.
Okay, what's the chat saying? Their pale relationship, yeah, their pale relationship is just kind of smoothed over a lot of issues that they both have. It's not that they don't care about each other; they're still important to each other. But this is Act 6. The end of it just presented us with here's the scenario of a bunch of people who are on very bad paths for themselves. Here you go. I'm like, oh. What? And there's what? And like it's over now. Like what? But these people are miserable. Hussy, look at this. These people are like
no.
abysmally upset.
You fixed it by punching a character. And
I don't
then
think
they-
it was ever intended to fix anything. I think he maybe I'm just being too generous. I think the end of Homestuck was deliberately like, look at all these fucked up, terrible people who barely care enough about themselves to bother giving a shit about anybody else, who are just not anyone you should look up to or try to emulate at all. These people are all horrible.
End of story.
End of story. The end. Goodbye. 7 years, everyone. Good night.
And Andrew Hussey is that bad guy's rant from Megamind where he says there is no Queen of England.
There is no
There
Margaret
is no
Thatcher
Queen of
full fucking
England.
circle.
There is no hope in your favorite characters, and there is no fetish for Margaret Thatcher in Wizarding Herbert.
Oh god, okay, so moms don't exist in Homestuck, right? Well, I mean, they do, but, like, moms aren't... There's that gap of the maternal energy, so to speak. It's not considered a valid way to approach, like, childhood or yourself or your own relationships. It's very alienated.
I feel like Homestuck was written by... It feels like something that was written by someone that had some issues in terms of their own relationship with their mother.
We're
and
being
then, like,
very invasive and Freudian right now, and I'm for it.
very Freudian,
I'm
but
being
like
very-
that's the vibe that it gives off, and like
yeah, it's the
whether or
vibes.
not-
Like, you can't blame me for picking up the vibes, dude. You put down the vibes right there. I'm reaching for them. I'm
Also
grabbing them. You haven't
someone
stopped me. I'm picking
is-
them up. You still haven't stopped me. You're looking at me right in the face. I've got the vibes.
also someone that is not a parent and also like hasn't had a lot of experiences that it tries to like edge in on.
Mhm.
Like that's the problem with trying to write something like Homestuck by yourself, is that there's so many like potential experiences from the characters, and like just you can either genuinely like bring in other people and try to do that well, or you can just be like, ah, fuck it, I'm just gonna do some
Yeah.
shit.
I'm just gonna do
I mean-
shit.
I mean, that's the thing, is like, he's like, you can write experiences that you haven't had. You can write them with empathy.
Of
But
course.
he's just so incurious about like what that
Right.
looks like in
Yeah.
other like he really is the Dirkkin because everything is
Oh,
interpreted
God.
through the lens of himself.
Oh
like
god, yeah,
and
like Homestuck can only see itself. It's so trapped in itself. It's inescapable.
The
Homestuck, if you will.
The response to all of the Jesus and like headcanon thing, and then the request that it be canonized, just being like, sure, whatever, I guess, was like very emblematic of like that lack of engagement with different ways of looking at things. Like, and no one is saying like you don't have to engage with shit, but like that's definitely the reality, and like go into it knowing what you're getting at. Like,
well, you look at the way he writes all characters who need people, and it's
Mhm.
like there's such abject terror in the face of the idea of needing people.
right.
Everybody needs people.
It's
I-
like Homestuck is afraid of Jake English.
Oh
Right.
god, yeah.
Like the idea that vulnerability is a weakness is a really like it's a common element of toxic masculinity, and also it's like a super toxic concept. Like your vulnerability doesn't make you a weak person. Like that is not a true statement. And like the idea that characters like can't be vulnerable or can't like rely on other people, like
That's why he had to
With
go
my-
back on Gamcar Moirails, because that was the
I-
first thing that kind of advocated that. That was the first
I was
time the
gonna-
story was like, here you go.
I spent
Mercy
so much
good.
time my own fanfic basically making the point that it's okay to rely on other people sometimes. Like you don't have to do
I
literally
get-
everything
Mhm,
yourself.
mhm, mhm. I get that being vulnerable is scary.
Exactly.
And it is literally vulnerable. You can be influenced by a malintentioned person, you can be seriously hurt, you can be betrayed, you can be manipulated. But all those things that happen to characters that happens to, we can't acknowledge that. We have to continuously blame them. The story is too much kin with Dirk and Vriska, who like
Yeah.
have to
Do
have to keep guarding themselves constantly until they become extremely unhealthy people, or punishing anybody who is vulnerable in the ways they won't admit they're vulnerable.
Absolutely. And vulnerability, and like it's scary, but being afraid isn't the
Riff,
same.
Riff has been trying to talk, and we have been sylphing.
sorry.
So
No, I'm having a very good time with you guys' insights, but
No, you're not.
Riff says, lowering their knife down slowly.
well, no, but I think it's like I keep thinking about like Janaya, you mentioned toxic masculinity, and that really does flash me back to like you have Dave's whole concept bro endorses.
Right.
But at the same time, I can't help thinking like Dave had to figure that out on his own. It did not involve him being vulnerable with people.
Mhm.
Right, exactly.
Karkat, but we didn't get to see that. Like Dave is not vulnerable. Dave arrives with his character growth pre-packaged. He's like,
We
I'm
never
good
have to see him fuck up or like treat someone badly or get called out or make any mistakes ever, because Dave has to stay so perfect. It doesn't make sense though. I don't really like this character because I can't relate, because we never show him fucking up in the way a person would in his situation.
Something like I think is important to show is like these are characters that think they have to do everything themselves and they don't. Like the idea that like, oh, Terezi's gonna fix everything herself. Like, no, she doesn't have to do that.
Yeah.
Like that's
She does not have to do
nonsense.
that. It's not
Yeah.
fair. That's why I had Karkat come with her, because Karkat's I'm trying to have a good crab, I guess, in Act 8, but I don't know how that's gonna go. Because at the time I was more
Crab.
generous. Like I was trying to show the ways that what his problems are. Like he's being he's being good intentioned because he always was, but
Right.
he sucks is the problem. He is the guy who sucks, and he has depression. So
Karkat, the guy who sucks.
the
and
guy
he
who
has
sucks
depression.
and he has depression.
um,
But I wanted to have him at least trying, so we can maybe get him there so he can fail and get called out when he fucks up, which he does.
Oh, you
So,
guys are ready for a bad joke?
I'm ready.
yes.
Karkat clone high moment in me. I don't deserve your votes. I suck.
don't have the context for that. I'm gonna
He
laugh.
tries to
anyway.
like self-neg people into voting for him. That's such a fucking Karkat thing.
Oh my god.
Oh
Hold
my
on. I'm
god.
gonna check something real quick.
Okay.
Gee, we should actually watch Clone High in here one day. It's a little outdated in terms of some of its material, but for the most part, it's still a very timely, like, parody
Yes.
series about teen culture.
We could watch that. But what's playing in my brain every time you say Clone High is Sky High.
Yes.
So I
You know
know
what?
you're
Why
not
don't we
talking
watch
about
that
the same. Why don't
instead?
we watch Sky High? But you talk to me about it as if we're watching Clone High, and just like call the characters by the wrong names and describe events on screen that have not happened, and I will try and make sense of it.
God.
You watch Clone High, and we'll all watch Sky High, but you tell us what's happening in Clone High.
God.
Yes, and we take it very genuinely, and we try and like react to things on screen, like, ah, yes, I see what you mean.
Yeah.
That's a really good idea. Just want okay. Oh no, I have to look at Arqueus right now. I don't want to do that. Is it okay if I say I do not like the Zahawks? Like I like when people like them because they like a good thing, but I do not like them anymore. I've decided
Dude,
to be
they're
confident.
like my least favorite character
like
in the
them.
comics ever.
Yeah.
Like, the older I get, the more I just lividly hate them.
Like I like what
It's just
people
their-
yeah, I like what people can do with these characters because if you just kind of like you look at Homestuck and you assume that Homestuck is not a living nightmare where your skin is going to get burned off, you might go, "Oh, okay, Horseman. Okay." And you might like have a nice time with your Horseman and everything's okay, but unfortunately, we are in hell. So if you look a little closer and you realize, wait a minute, what is this fire and brimstone? Oh wait, oh no! And then the Zahawks are like, God, the worst fucking thing to ever lay your eyes on. So
Momo just standing in the middle of like a con, like this is the bad place.
We already know.
God. The Zahawks are fucking Hades, and the entire Homestuck
Oh,
fandom is Persephone.
oh my God, Nepeta is now is Nepeta Persephone
Nepeta was Persephone.
the whole time. Oh no!
Yeah.
Oh
See,
no!
that's the issue. Is like I'm a huge Lejon stan, and so by association, I care about the Fox, but I also understand. Like I
Yeah.
understand.
You understand. I'm glad. There's like
Well, it's good. We need more Nepeta Nepeta bitches in here.
yeah, there should be more like meaningful Nepeta appreciation. That's not just cute innocent cute
I'm
girl.
also going to
I mean, she
apologize
is.
in advance if that was inappropriate. I was trying to make a joke, but it
You're
might
alright.
have been
No,
extremely
it's okay.
disrespectful.
No,
Yeah.
I actually I insist on being called a bitch. That's my pronouns now. Please respect them.
I self
Yeah.
that I don't like being called that out of nowhere.
I
But
love
also-
it. I love it especially. I don't know why. It's just it's fun
I-
for
My
me.
favorite pet
If
name
you
is a
want
pain in the
some
ass.
really like interesting Nepeta Vriska content, I recommend this fanfic, which was written by Fleece on the Will It Hunt
Ooh. Ooh.
It's good. It's
Ooh.
basically Nepeta kills Vriska's Lucis,
Oh.
but it's got like really good characterization of the two.
Okay. Well, I
See,
fixed the things on my
Wristnet
list.
shippers have huge brains. I just can't get on that level.
Yeah.
What did you guys think about Equius's Pester Crest route if you played it?
I did not.
I did
play.
not play it. I watched a playthrough on YouTube, and I have to say, it kind of falls into the Eridon Pester Quest problem, in which it tries to recontextualize too much of this character in a
well,
way that is attempting to make this character of toxic masculinity sympathetic when he was never supposed to be sympathetic in the first place, and it just completely misses the fucking point of the character entirely. But I get it. I get why people would like it. It's a
Yeah,
good
I
route
did.
if you want some like
I mean, it's fine. I guess.
purposeful like
I think-
if you want someone to purposefully like not reduce but like recontextualize these characters in a better light, then yes. but I'm a person who loves it when characters are allowed to be terrible and horrible for the sake of making an extremely poignant point about our society and just leaving it at that rather than trying to excuse the disgusting behavior in the first place.
Right. Don't do that.
That's a fair response. You're gonna have a hard time getting me to talk bad about Lalo Hunt's writing because I am, a sellout. But also, I do think it is worth noting that, like, yes, it is good to examine those things about a character, but within the space of 8,000 words, where you're supposed to have your MC end up as friends with this character.
Right,
I
the
do
conceit,
think
they're
that
hobbled by
is-
the conceit. Maybe it's the problem is the conceit in the first place.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And, like, I think, like, if you wanted to go, like, full depth insight
Full
into
metal
Equius and, like, the full toxicity that there, you would need, like, a full length fic to deal with that. If the idea is,
or
like,
you
let's
could just be like, well, maybe this is the guy that
sucks.
sucks, and he has depression.
Yeah, this is actually why a work like Lord English Unmerged is actually more appreciated than Pester Quest, because it is a more genuine, like, look at this character instead of like being goaded into liking him.
I didn't like Pester Quest did a lot of stuff where it was just like it felt very
Well,
haphazard
I
and
understand. This is not me being rude, but Pastor Quest was a product to make money to fund more
Yeah.
Hive Swap development. So
Yeah, I
people weren't
felt
gonna buy it if they couldn't have a nice experience they were looking for with a character they're already like very attached to and willing to like kind of look past what the text was doing or what it should or shouldn't have done.
I would have liked it better if it had more to say. As it was, it just felt like we're gonna have a fun little experience with each of these characters, except some of them are gonna be like really fucking short and not really sad at all.
My
I don't know.
problem
Right.
with Pester Quest is that it's ultimately more reductive and therefore more harmful to the Homestuck experience than
that's
anything else
Yeah.
because of this capitalist like interest.
Mhm.
And let's be real, they're not making Hive Swap anymore. Hive Swap is dead.
Yeah.
That's just a front.
We
That's
gotta
fucking
accept it because
fucking
like
bad.
people are getting hurt in the development process, like their careers and their livelihoods
Right.
and like themselves as like laborers are getting hurt by it. So I don't think it's really worth it to keep developing it. I know that sucks for the people who gave it the money, but I gave money, and the Kickstarter investments are a risk, and the responsible thing to do is just go, okay, no, this went bad. I did bad. I can't be trusted with this anymore because I made a mistake. That's the responsible thing to do.
People are getting hurt in the development of Homestuck 2.
That too,
You can
yeah.
only imagine how bad it is for the fucking Hive Swap team. My God.
Right. So, like, at this point, do we want to keep subjecting people to that? There are other options. Homestuck isn't the only thing in the world. These people are creative and talented, and they can make, like, stuff on their own. They can make stuff in their free time. I've chosen to be an artist completely in my free time. That was a really healthy decision for me. Like, the people kind of get, I guess, enticed into Homestuck with the idea of maybe working on it professionally someday, being curated out of the fandom into like the quote-unquote brand where they have some amount of power over how things are invested and are going to be portrayed. But no, it's not actually worth that much because professionally, like, it is this kind of indie project that can't really offer you a lot of prestige or the help that you would maybe be looking for. And then also, like, the appeal of this control is never gonna satisfy people. I've never seen it satisfy anybody. It's just caused more contention.
Yeah, and I can understand putting Steven Universe on your resume because that's a professional product that came out of professional studio. I wouldn't do that because the show looks like absolute garbage and has racism problems out the wazoo. But at least that will get you more fucking points in the real world capitalist interest hellhole that is the animation industry than fucking Homestuck.
Yeah, don't go. I think at this point you can have like an animation portfolio, but you should probably look more for just doing small projects with people you can develop a meaningful rapport with, so you know they're going to be accountable to you. Because the industry is a very bad place to be for a lot of reasons, and you don't have to be in the industry to make good animation and make good art. And I want to spend maybe the rest of my life fucking proving that. Because they tried to indoctrinate me to want to have a job at Disney, and I just fucking dug in my heels. and was like, no, I don't give a shit about that, and everyone thought I was crazy, but I was
Good,
right.
Momo, you don't want to turn into Art Babbitt.
I don't want to turn
Fuck
into
Art
Art Babbitt.
Babbitt.
Fuck Art Babbitt. Okay, with that, it is about 12:30, and I started about at this time, so I think we'll close the stream for today. I will stay on voice chat for a while though, maybe a little bit. I do have
One
to
more
get
thing
food.
on voice chat. Fuck Art Babbitt.
Fuck Art
Fuck
Babbitt.
you, Art Babbitt.
Does anyone else have any more to say while we're live? Do we want to get in any
don't
more
like
trouble
Art
with Wet
Babbitt.
Pumpkin? Burn any more bridges? I don't know. Well, I don't think we've said
No.
anything like uncharitable. We don't
Okay,
blame.
you know what?
Yeah.
Here's my
You know
bridge.
what?
to burn.
Us
Here's your
just
bridge.
being uncharitable about
Torch that
Homestuck.
bridge.
All those
Torch
bridges
that
are
bridge.
probably already
My
gone.
bridge is, if you can hire out for Terezi's route, you can hire somebody who actually gives a shit about Gamzee to write it.
You could do
I'm
that.
sure you tried your
Yeah.
best. It's just transparent that you were at best neutral about him. So
Yeah.
You can be neutral, just be interested, and no one wants to be interested. Except for me, but I don't want to take your money. I don't want to do that.
I'll take it. I don't care.
You know what?
College
I've
expensive.
thought
I
a
don't
lot
have
about writing
ethics.
on an official Homestuck project, but I don't think my views or any of my art would be properly represented in any of that. So it would just be like a fucking nightmare, I think.
Yeah, I'm fine. I'll build my own Homestuck over here.
Essentially,
Here,
yeah.
Essentially, yeah. There it is, on the screen right now. This is the Homestuck, I guess. That's the
This
metaphor.
is a fit Like we got the little Gamzee in the corner
We got
looming.
looming. I guess that's us collectively. That's us. That's our Gamzee comrade. And then what's the rabbit?
Animals.
What? Repeat
Sometimes a
that?
rabbit is just a rabbit.
What's the rabbit?
Sometimes a rabbit's just a rabbit.
Oh, just a rabbit. Okay.
Homestuck.
Just a rabbit.
Is
Don't worry about it.
that's the juju box.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
That the sucker was in.
That the actual Homestuck was in.
That
The
sucker
juju
was
box
in.
is the actual Homestuck.
That's the actual Homestuck was in.
literal representation of Homestuck was in,
Yep.
and it was like all of the kids, I think. Or
Yeah,
was it just
all the kids are stuck in there too. So
Oh,
they're stuck,
all the
they're
kids.
stuck in
It's
Homestuck,
all
which is
the
stuck in
fucking
Homestuck, all the
kids.
kids. Just
That's
just
kind
the
of
betas.
depressing.
That is. They're stuck in there. They're stuck. They die. That's canon.
Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about anything on the screen right now. Everything going on is extremely normal and good.
If you take a screenshot, I want to set this to my header for on Twitter.
Yes. Yes. I will get this for you. And with that,
you.
we will